My mother is upset because my father is walking me down the aisle. Well, go ahead and just cry me a river. Backstory. My mother and father had an emergency wedding because they accidentally got pregnant with my twin brother and me. Shotgun wedding.
Nice.
They believed it was the right thing to do since they got pregnant before marriage. My father at the time was a heavy drinker. They eventually did get divorced when I was 7, but about 2 years before they did, he decided to get sober for his family. By the way, this comes from Tordor5858 on the r/Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Angie.
And OP says, after they got divorced, my mother attempted to not have my father and my brothers in my life. After a few years in the court system, they decided that we could see my father every Tuesday and Friday after school. She then started to state that she wouldn't be able to pick us up afterward due to her going back to school, which, good for her. I do recognize her going back to support us and herself. That was a very selfless and brave thing of her, and she deserves a round of applause for that. She also started bribing us with movies, toys, and dinner. Sometimes we would take it, and sometimes we didn't. But if we didn't, she would be upset at us for the rest of the week. Keep the bribing part in mind for the future. My father and I, as I got older, became really close. We are both so much alike, and I am so happy to call him my dad. Even with all the rough stuff from the past, I have forgiven him, and that has made our bond stronger as a whole. To the story, I, 23 female, am getting married to Billy, 27 male, in May of 2027.
Billy.
At first, due to worrying about family drama, we were going to elope, where we got engaged and go crazy on our honeymoon. But after talking with one another, we wanted to celebrate with everyone we love and bring everyone together as a family. So we decided to have a micro wedding instead. The first thing I should have seen coming was that we had to have a talk with my mother about my father being invited to my wedding. At first, she was not happy and stated that she might not come to our wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. Nor would my older and twin brother, nor most of my family on her side. Is she telling you that, or did they say that? But after a while of her thinking, she decided that she would have to think about it. Sounded more like she was going to attend my wedding, and I was satisfied. An hour away from me. I told her the one closer to me was the one I was looking at the most because it's in the middle for everyone. My fiance's family lives about an hour away from me as well, but in a different town than my mother. After sending her the link to the venue, she became upset with me over the phone, stating that it was closer to my fiance's family than it was for her, and she felt a certain way that Billy chose it. She also stated that she would have to think about coming again because it was a longer drive for her than it would be for his family. It was only longer by 17 minutes. I was hurt and snapped, stating that Billy chose it because it was everything I wanted for everyone and to not badmouth him due to my choice. She then became silent, apologized, and we moved on. Here is the final straw and the whole reason I'm writing this. I'm at the point of my wit's end. My mother called asking if I wanted to have a day where we hang out. No chores, no one else, just us. I agreed, thinking it would be fun to have a mommy-daughter day. At first, everything was great. We went out to eat, took a drive, just talked, got some donuts, and just relaxed. It was way too good for something not to be up, but I didn't see it. After I left and started my drive back home, I got a phone call from her. Of course, I picked up, and then she started her questions. She said she had a great time today. I told her I did too, and that it was nice to just hang out. She agreed, but then asked if she could talk to me about something. Said sure, what's up? She asked, who was gonna walk me down the aisle? I said I hadn't thought that far yet. She asked if I had an idea. I said I didn't know, but if I had to choose now, it would probably be my dad.
Yeah.
She asked why. I said because he's my dad, and that's the typical tradition.
Right.
She said, he didn't raise me. I said, well, he is a big part of my life, Mom. She then said she had to go and hung up the phone. Not even 5 minutes later, I got a text from my grandma saying, OP, you just broke your mother's heart. Shut up.
Oh my gosh.
I was flabbergasted and angry. It felt like the whole point of hanging out with her was just for her to butter me up and tell her what she wanted to hear. After I got home and talked with my fiance and a friend about what had happened, they recommended that I contact someone with an unbiased opinion, like a pastor who has seen this stuff before. I don't go to church, so I decided to contact the officiant for our wedding. With his approval, I notified him of everything. He stated, "It's been a long time. My advice is to have them both walk you down the aisle, but not along with whom is sharing or giving away the bride, but give them both a hug each and have them sit down where they want." Yeah, but if she was not even like, if she was thinking about not even going to the wedding,
Yeah.
I don't know if she's gonna enjoy being right next to her ex-husband.
Right. I know. I kind of wondered about that too. I'm like, I mean, yeah, like that is a tradition that people do too. Is like it's usually the father, but like I have seen where just both the parents. But yeah, it's like I would wonder how well they would act when they're like that close together, you know?
I can't imagine well.
Yeah.
After I thought about it, I agreed and sent her this message. I reached out to the officiant to get some guidance from someone with experience and an outside perspective. He suggested the idea of having both of you walk me down the aisle together, not in a traditional giving away sense, but more as a united show of support. After giving it a lot of thought, I've decided this feels like the right choice for me. I really hope you'll take some time to think about this before making any decisions or involving others. I'd appreciate it if we could keep this between us for now without others reaching out to try and change my mind. This is something I've thought through carefully, and it's really important to me to feel supported in this choice. It has been a few weeks, and she has still not talked to me.
Oh my gosh.
What do you want, mother?
Just be happy for your daughter, dude.
You just, what do
Come
you even
on.
want? At this point, I'm over the drama, and I just want to be happy. Would I be the butthole if I told her that she needs to come up with a decision if she's coming or not, just so I can stop worrying about her opinion? I do apologize for this being a lot, and I thank you all for reading and giving any advice you have to give. And there's an update, but what do you think?
I don't know. Still try to find options, something that will make her happy. Maybe, you know, see if there's like another way that she can be involved that still feels as important or something like that. But I think maybe you'll have to kind of start like accepting the fact or coming to terms with your mom not being at your wedding.
I think that you can send her maybe an RSVP thing and be like, hey, need an answer by this date whether or not you're coming.
Right.
And being involved in the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be like, you have to tell me or else, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be at the wedding. It's just like, for the venue, we need to know by this date.
Right.
And then if she doesn't respond, then you're like, okay, yeah, you won't be coming to the wedding because you didn't let me know in time.
Yeah, and like I needed to maybe give reasons,
Yeah.
like, you know, I needed to confirm with the catering or something like that. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I think that would be a good idea.
Update. Thank you all for the responses. I greatly appreciate all the help I can get. After some thought, I decided to text my mom requesting if we could talk about everything, due to feeling if we continue to not talk, we are only going to mentally strain ourselves from one another. She immediately called and we started talking. I let her talk first and asked why she was so hurt about everything. She started off talking about how terrible he was as a father. Everything I have heard in the past, and no. She also felt that he does not even deserve to be even a part of the wedding due to their poor relationship. You guys have a poor relationship.
Yeah,
Not OP and her dad. You two.
Right.
I responded with apologizing to her, stating that I should have never given her the response I did because I knew I was not prepared for it, but I also told her that she had no right to contact family members and tell them how I broke your heart, and that really upset me. I then went over about how I feel them both walking me down together, and as a support way and not a giving way, was a great compromise, and so that will be my final decision. She was upset, stating that was not fair to her and she preferred not to put herself in that situation. I then went into a conversation with her, stating that whether she likes it or not, I have learned to forgive my dad and moved on from the past, and we have a wonderful relationship. I told her that he has completely changed from what he was, but I understand she doesn't have to talk to him anymore or be around him. But I would really appreciate if she can come even just for the ceremony. That would mean a lot. She just said, Okay, but I still don't have a decision. I then got a little upset, I won't lie, and stated to her as I grew up, she always made me feel pity for her. It was always poor her. Everywhere we went, and it always felt like my brother and I were a regret, and we always had to work around stuff to just see them, especially my dad, with sporting events, graduation, homecoming, and more. Then she went silent for a very long time, and the next thing she said was, "What do you want me to do about it?" Well, I want you guys to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search OK Storytime. What does OP want them to do about it?
I think she wants you to go to the wedding.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think she's just kind of told you what she wants from you.
Yeah.
Just wanted you to hear her out and then go to the wedding.
Literally.
At this point, I was done. I felt everything I was saying was just going over her head. I told her, at this point, I think we should just assume you aren't coming. And with that, I'll not be discussing any wedding plans with you. But if you do decide on coming and truly mean it, then we can talk. But right now, that's my decision for everything. She agreed, and we ended the call. Maybe one day she'll come to her senses, but right now, I'm weirdly happy with this result. Knowing that I have an answer, I feel more at peace. Thank you all for listening, and if I have anything else, I'll let you know. And if there's any more advice, I'm all ears.
Well,
yeah. It makes sense why you're happy, or, in a weird way, but you have an answer. You don't have to live in this weird unknown where you're trying to get your mom to come, and you don't know if she's coming. You know she's not.
And that's probably best for, your mental health, too.
Yeah.
You
got to worry about so many things.
Right. And, at first, when you started saying, just explaining that to your mom of how it's always been, and part of me was like, oh no, but then she'll not come to the wedding.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, well, that's obviously not as important as talking about this with your mom and finally saying that to her. So
yeah, I
at
think
least
it was good for you to get that off your chest. You did what you could. You had the conversation you wanted to have. She's not coming to the wedding, and that's her decision.
Exactly.
My mother's life is messy, and I refuse to be involved any longer.
I'm putting down the mop.
And this comes directly from the OK Storytime subreddit.
Oh, yeah.
Some context. Mom has never made the best choices in life. She and my father divorced when I was around 5 so she could marry a man she met online, her second husband, Voldemort, he who must not be named.
That's crazy.
Their relationship was extremely toxic, and my siblings and I had to run away from her home in the middle of the night multiple times because of the fighting. Oh my God. My older brothers, Lando and Dean, definitely had to grow up faster than they should have as they tried to protect me and my brother Carlo. By the way, this comes from Masterpiece Salt 2876. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And I am Keon.
And OP says, Carlo also had to grow up fast as my mother basically made Carlo into my second parent. Made sure I showered, brushed my hair and teeth, did my homework, ate, got to and from school, etc. Carlo is just barely 2 years older than me. I know you're not supposed to have favorite siblings, but Carlo has always been mine, and I love them dearly. After my mother and Voldemort divorced, we still never felt secure. My mother dated various men that we would be introduced to. We would stay the night at theirs on weekends and have sleepovers with their kids while mom slept in the room with the dads, her friends. She dated guys seriously and would introduce them as her boyfriend. Then things would go to crap and they would break up, never to be seen again. We moved around a decent amount, and I went to 3 schools before 2nd grade. Mother had pulled my brothers out of school to homeschool them after a teacher suggested that Dean might have a learning disability. She would threaten to send us away to get examined by professionals if we didn't do what she said right away. She made getting looked at for learning disabilities sound scary and threatening, but I really wish she would have followed through. Mother also was never good with money. When she got paid, we would go to a restaurant and get appetizer, meal, and dessert each. And then there would be no food in the house. Because of all the moving around and the new dads in our lives, none of us ever felt safe that anything was permanent. All of us had a hard time making and keeping friendships because we were always moving. We all have trust and abandonment issues to this day. Mother met her third husband and had us going for sleepovers at his house after less than a month. About 2 months in, she moved us into his house, nearly an hour away from the convenient walk to our dad's house and our school.
Oh my God.
Their common law marriage lasted nearly 8 years, but was also unstable. He was a self-absorbed person and used my gullible 11-year-old self to get back with my mom during one of their breakups, sending me messages about how much he loved and missed us. I told my mom, and she took him back. When I was in high school, she confided in me that she was going to leave him again. When I was 18, she bought a house and moved out of the city without telling him. As the youngest and only girl, I was constantly referred to as her mini-me and her bestie. She treated all of us kids as extensions of herself. I didn't want to be burdened with mother's secrets and dragged around to gatherings with her friends where I knew no one and was the only kid. She showered me with love so long as I did what she wanted, and I craved that love and approval. She would guilt trip me into doing things for her, citing her depression and stress levels, making me seem like a horrible, ungrateful child for disappointing her. So I grew up feeling like it was Harlow's job to care for me. It was mine to keep mom happy. I tried to move in with my dad full-time in high school, but was yelled at by Dean for making my mom cry. So when she left her third husband, I felt like I had to move with her so she wouldn't be alone. It's been almost 9 years since we moved. I'm still here. I moved out with a boyfriend briefly, and she kept telling me he was horrible until I started to believe it. She also had me coming to stay with her every second weekend, saying it wasn't fair for my dog to be stressed around his toddler. During that time, she was dating a guy who she said was the love of her life. Then he dumped her. 2 months later, I come home from visiting my friend, and she has moved some guy into our home that she met online, and they're engaged. She always said it was my home too, but I guess not when it involves moving her fiance in. I had never talked to or met the guy. Guy paid for everything, which my mother loved, even though he has an attitude. When he left her and took the truck back and emptied the account, she was begging him to come back. I was stuck at home during their relationship because of the vid, hiding in my room whenever he was home. The resentment has been building over the years, which leads us to now. My doctor has put me on medical leave to get my depression and stress under control. She doesn't care and talks constantly about bills piling up, even though I've asked her not to do that as it's a big stressor, and her stress and depression. She knows one of the reasons I was put on medical leave was insomnia, and has pulled me out of bed to help her with various tasks. She's also started several DIY renovations that she abandons partway through, leaving toolboxes and clutter everywhere. My income is severely reduced because of my medical leave, and she complains that I don't get payments at convenient times to pay her bills. She's charging me nearly $1,000 a month to live in a 6x8 room. My God. When I first started paying rent at 18, it was $400 all included with the master bedroom. Now it's no closet and the room is constantly damp and moldy. I do all the cooking and have for years, and I even serve it to her while she relaxes in bed after work. I'm doing all the cleaning and taking care of her dogs that she hasn't been paying attention to. The dogs are aggressive towards each other, so can't be out at the same time. She will randomly decide she's craving something different and come home with ingredients expecting me to cook it, regardless of the dinner I already prepared. Or I'll make her a meal and she'll take 2 bites, say she's full, and leave it on my stove for weeks unless I clean it. My grandmother rents a full basement apartment from my parents, and they only charge her $600. I feel like she's making sure I can never leave by charging me so much and guilt-tripping me. She constantly complains when I want to go away for even a night that she'll have to switch the dogs out. And when I try to bring up things that bothers me, she'll say, "You think I'm not stressed and depressed? I should be retiring right now, and all I can think of is the mess I have made of my life. And the one thing I thought I was good at was being a mother, but I guess I suck at that too." Last night was an almost breaking point over something that might sound petty, but I bought myself a treat. Again, reduced income. When I buy food, it goes towards making meals normally. I don't usually buy myself treats anymore. Well, she really likes the treats I got apparently and has been helping herself and even taking bites out of treats that I'm eating. I always ask her before I eat her treats, so I just asked her if she could please ask the next time as I bought the treats. And they are yogurt fruit popsicles because her throat has also been sore. 2 days ago, and for myself. Well, she blew up at me and said, "Are you serious? That she will make me start asking before eating anything she buys, meaning groceries that I cook to feed her. And then whatever, I won't touch your stuff again." And has been giving me the silent treatment since. By the way, we'll never give you the silent treatment, so we have full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, favorite podcast app, search OK Storytime.
That's right. We never stop talking over there.
It's true.
We're just yapping. Leave your house. Leave this
Yeah.
place. Also, don't pay rent. See what happens.
I feel like
because-
OP is like catching on. Like she's made this post because she's at the breaking point of like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
You just need to, don't feel guilty from this.
You're at the point where your mom is like that weird thing where she's like obsessed with you and doesn't want you to leave, but then is also like just an intensely negative presence in your life. So you go, okay, I'm not going to pay this exorbitant rent you're making me pay for no reason other than to make sure I can't move out, and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get it to you later. I'm going to whatever. And what is she going to do? Like have you removed? That's the last thing that she wants.
Right.
So you're kind
probably
of in a
paying
position
way
where you
more.
can kind of strong arm that, save up your money, get out, move in with
Use that
friends, move in
$1,000
with
to go
family,
anywhere
cousins,
else.
aunts, uncles, and literally any place else on earth, but with your guilt-tripping, self-absorbed mother.
And your brother that keeps trying to guilt you back in, just be like, hey, I think it was Dean. You live with her then. But we've got a little bit left. Normally, when we have arguments, she gives me the silent treatment until I cave, or she will suddenly have some sort of medical issue and need my help. I don't think I can live like this anymore. I am nearly 30 and I haven't really lived my own life. I've just been taking care of her and being what she needs me to be. My grandmother and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, and I broke down crying in her arms. She told me I needed to move out. I know my mother is bad with her finances, and I know she's been gambling online, and I take care of her bills and dogs. I also know that Lando is a big mama's boy and will be very mad at me. Dean might also get upset again, but I feel like if I stay any longer, I will never leave.
And they can get mad, and then they can pick up your slack, I guess, since you're the only one helping her out.
So, would I be the a-hole if I moved out of my mother's house and possibly went low or no contact with her for a while? That's the end. And no, you would not be.
Yeah. Zero. Like, zero a-holeness if you did that.
Yeah.
Move in with grandma.
Go live
and-
with grandma.
And I guarantee you, your family, especially your mother, will make you feel like an a-hole or call you out for being an a-hole. No.
Yeah. Where's the older brother? The one that is your favorite brother. He's got your back, I'm sure.
Good brother.
He's the one that raised you.
That weight off your shoulders when you get out of that
Was
house,
so freeing.
you go low contact, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I have my own life.
Such a breath of relief.
Yeah.
A breath of fresh hair.
Say woo.
My mother ignored my spine injury, so I snapped.
Give me a break, Mom.
My mother, 54, recently had a minor medical procedure done. Nothing invasive, but she did require stitches afterwards. She decided to get the procedure done while she was on family responsibility leave due to the fact that I, 16 female, was going for surgery to my hip, which fair enough, I understand the logic behind that. However, this is where the story actually starts. By the way, this comes from Lash of the Lambs 13, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
I'm Carly.
NOP says, 4 days after her procedure, I was 5 days post-surgery at this stage, she demanded that I take out her stitches because they were bothering her. I told her, no,
Yeah, you're not a doctor, and if her doctor didn't say that,
keep those
No.
in.
that's gross. And yeah, keep those in.
that the stitches were not ready to come out yet and that the area had not healed enough. I have no formal medical training, but as someone who's had stitches before, I could tell. Also, her stitches were in a place that would require me to kneel to remove them, and keep in mind, I was 5 days post-surgery after hip surgery, so I physically wasn't able to do that. I also told her I was uncomfortable removing her stitches because we only had a pair of nail clippers and a tweezer and nowhere we could do it safely.
Those aren't even the right medical tools for that.
Bad.
That's
Bad. Don't do that. You're going to mess up your freaking stitches. So fast forward one day, she begrudgingly listened to me for the time being, and I thought that was the end of that. It was not. The next morning, I am 6 days post-surgery now. The stitches have been in for 5 days. Around 10 a.m., I am woken up by my mother calling for me. Naturally, I rush to my parents' bathroom where she was calling me from. I walk in, and my mother has removed her stitches with a pair of nail clippers and was having complications. Some of the thread from the stitches was still in place, but the area was disturbed. She immediately demanded that I fix the situation. OP is 16.
also her OP's hip is not doing well. She just also had, she's recovering from post-surgery. Come on now.
I immediately started on doing that, helping to address the situation, and carefully removing the remaining stitches with tweezers. This naturally required that I force myself to kneel to do so, and caused me severe pain and aggravated my own healing area, because, well, I was also supposed to be on bed rest. So when I finished, I got back up, and this might be an overreaction for me, I don't know, but I blew up at her. I would too. You literally said, don't touch your stitches. And then she, like a child, took them out and then couldn't do that on her own and then got you to do it and hurt you. I told her not to try to take her own stitches out. I told her that I explicitly warned her they were not ready to come out. I mean, I was pissed. She disregarded everything I said to her, refused to accept my answer when I told her no, and forced me to kneel down in front of her and hurt myself because she couldn't handle having stitches for another day. Never mind that I had a healing surgical site on my hip. Never mind that I had my own recovery to focus on. She wanted her stitches out, so I had to take them out because it was the least I could do after she gave birth to me. Shut up.
She's pulling that card.
She's pulling the, I gave birth to you, so you have to do everything for me. I don't know if this truly belongs on here, but that feels kind of entitled to me. Some of OP's comments, commenter says, oh boy, she has issues. Not only could she have applied direct pressure to wherever the incision was, but she decided to go the most traumatic route versus putting some Benadryl cream around the stitches to stop the irritation. I hope you went in to get seen after your wound started bleeding. OP says I did not, but I did call my doctor and she said that it was fine unless the staples bent. I could just change the bandage and ice the wound, which I did, and, actually use some wound cream. And there is an update, but do you have any thoughts?
Honestly, good on you, OP, for stepping up. And, I know it's really annoying and you're like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Or it's just going to get into a bigger mess and you just grit your teeth and you're like, I'm also in pain. Yeah, that's not fair to you. And I would first go get some rest. And then once you're fully recovered, be like, hey, what you did was really dumb.
Yeah.
And stop gaslighting me because you had me. You're my mother.
Well, it's just so frustrating that OP has to parent her own mom.
Exactly. And she's like, I gave birth to you, so
it.
you owe me this.
You owe me.
Shut up.
Shut
I
up.
hate when parents say that.
Me too. Update. 5 months from background post. I, 17 female, suffered a back injury just over 2 years ago. My spinal cord was damaged and it has left me physically disabled. I can stand on my own and walk short distances, but doing so often puts me in significant pain. Over the last 2 years, I have had 3 surgeries to try and repair the damage, and while they have helped in some areas, the full injury cannot be repaired. My mother, 55 female, refuses to accept this, and over the last 2 years has pushed me into more and more treatments even if I didn't want them, claiming every time that this would be the one that helped me. Both I and my father have tried to tell her that the nerve damage is permanent and that the best course of action is to simply try and preserve my back so I retain mobility as I get older, which is what 3 separate doctors have advised.
Oh no, she doesn't
My
listen
mother
to
won't
doctors?
listen to us. This is so infuriating, and if I were her husband, I would literally divorce her and take OP. She's become obsessed with trying to fix me and get me back to my old self. She keeps signing me up for treatments and programs without asking, or after I've already said no. These treatments are usually exercise-based or based on holistic treatment and natural remedies, or even still experimental procedures, and most of them have only ever left me uncomfortable, if not worse off. She also refuses to let me have any accommodations. I can't use a cane, a wheelchair, or anything else around her, and often refuses to let me sit or lay down when I'm in pain. Over the last year and a half, my condition has been getting worse. Yeah, because your mom's not letting you, rest. But my mother acts like she hasn't noticed, but just keeps booking my usual doctor's appointments. Now it's gotten to the point where she insists on being in the doctor's office with me because she believes that I won't give reliable information about my symptoms if I go in alone. Tonight, I just couldn't take it anymore and broke down crying, telling her to stop trying to fix me and just help.
That's insane that you've had
Yeah.
your father,
Doctors.
not one doctor, not
Multiple
two, multiple
doctors.
doctors telling her, hey, there's not much you can really do.
Yeah.
What's the point? You're not, now it just seems like you're wasting money.
Genuinely, I think you need to talk to your dad and say, I need to get out of here. I begged her to just stop pushing me, to just try to accept that I'm not able-bodied anymore, but she wasn't having it. She told me that if Paralympic athletes could do it, so could I. That I had to stop making excuses and that she only wanted what was best for me. I understand that denial is part of the grieving process, but I've already accepted it, and I just don't know what to do anymore. I've tried to be understanding, but she's really driving me to the end of my rope. So am I the a-hole for snapping at her? And there is an update, but what do you think?
No, you're not. No. Good on you for still not,
Yeah.
following her and be like, okay, yeah, mom, you're right. It's no, you know your body.
Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your body. Don't let her push you around and make choices when you know what's right for you. Commenter 1 says, not the a-hole. Your dad needs to step up and tell your mom to knock it off. Where is he in all of this? Because he's apparently pushing back, but not actually. He needs to either make her listen or make her back off and leave you alone, rather than just throwing up his hands and saying, welp, I tried. No, he needs to say, you are hurting our child because you refuse to accept the advice of 3 different doctors.
That's insane.
This stops now. OP needs to be accommodated for their injuries and allowed to use assistive devices and lay down when they hurt. OP says, my dad's trying. They've gotten into a lot of arguments about it, and he's even refused to take me to the treatments she scheduled because I don't want to go. The problem is just that my mom won't listen, and aside from removing me from the house for short periods, there isn't much he can do. He's gotten me accommodations behind my mom's back, but we don't have all that many options. I feel like that's kind of a cop-out. What do you mean there's not much he can do?
Yeah.
Why can't...
he tried.
What?
Yeah, he's trying.
There absolutely
somewhat.
is more that he can do. He can say, no, I'm divorcing you. We're not doing that. I'm getting my child away from you.
Yeah.
Commenter says, not the a-hole. I'd ask my dad to get a divorce so you can have peace. OP says he can't, unfortunately. My father is dependent on her too. He can't physically take care of himself either. He also has a severe spinal cord injury. And that's why this makes sense. So even if that did happen, he wouldn't be able to care for himself, never mind me. Commenter says, talk to a trusted adult at your school. Seriously, this is terrifying. OP says, I'm homeschooled. Oh, I don't have the physical capability to attend regular school, so I do it online. And I was homeschooled since way before the accident. Messaging teachers personally is against school policy, so I unfortunately can't do that. Commenter says, do you have a Lions Club nearby? They have free wheelchairs. OP says, I don't know what that is. I don't know if they exist here. I'm South African. Commenter says, did your mom have something to do with your injury? Is she being this way because of some sort of guilt? OP says, no. She wasn't even there when the accident happened. I was thrown off a horse. Oh. So there really wasn't anyone else involved. To another commenter asking if mom paid for the horse, OP says, no, it was a riding school horse. I led classes there. To another commenter, she didn't have anything to do with the injury, but I feel like she might be carrying some sort of guilt because she wasn't there when it happened. I'm really not sure. My other theory is her own internalized ableism. That's it. You know, she expects you to be able to do certain things and to be a certain way, and she can't deal with the fact that you are not able-bodied anymore. Commenter says, I will bet you that mom is resentful because now she has 2 people to take care of. She's probably burnt out. OP says, I never considered that before. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I'll talk to her about it. Maybe we can figure something out. Commenter says, did you used to help your mom take care of your dad? I don't particularly think that she's being fair to you, but I think that there might be some underlying feelings on her part. I'm not sure she'll admit it to you, though. OP says, no, he was able to take care of himself before my injury, but after my accident, his condition started deteriorating. That's really, really tough. Just terrible. Yeah, the timing of that, really, really awful.
Yeah, and I think again, the top point, she's getting scared.
Yeah. Yeah, she's seeing both, loved ones.
Yeah.
Not an excuse at all, but it does give us a little bit of insight into her thinking.
Why she's doing it and why she's so upfront about it. Ugh.
There is an update 3 days later. So I talked with my mother and showed her some of the comments. She agreed that we could go to family therapy, and I am now allowed to use a cane and walk her inside the house. We've also compromised that I could talk to doctors on my own for the most of the appointments. Then she could just come in the last few minutes and have the doctor give her a rundown. I've finally been able to explain the full extent of my symptoms to a doctor, and I have tests scheduled for later today that'll confirm my diagnosis. Any additional advice would be welcomed and appreciated, and also thank you to all the wonderful people for your understanding and insights. And I would understand if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this, because they're amazing, and you can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio if you search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts? Seems like we've had kind of a turnaround.
I would have been like, okay, I love how you didn't listen to me, the doctors, Dad.
Yeah.
But the internet changed your
Listen
mind?
to Reddit. Because probably all the Reddit commenters were like, this woman is insane.
Yeah.
She's abusing you.
I guess you need strangers on the internet to tell you and call you out.
Yeah.
But good, that's
Good job, Reddit, I guess.
Good job, Reddit, and good job, OP, for, fighting for what's right and, you living your life and
Yeah.
letting her know that it's going to be okay.
What do you mean by saying you have tests scheduled that will confirm your diagnosis? This whole time, you've been stating you have a known diagnosis and prognosis. OP says, I have several known diagnoses and prognoses. I am referring specifically to ones that will on paper confirm the severity of my nerve damage. Because while I've had doctors verbally confirm it, and I have prescribed medication to do with it, the actual level of damage wasn't on paper anywhere before because my mother wouldn't let me ask for it since she doesn't believe I have it.
Ah.
She's like, you can't ask for it.
If it's not there on paper, then you don't have it.
And I'm not letting you get it on paper either.
Mm.
It doesn't exist. Good luck. I hope that you're able to convince your mom to let you, have the accommodations that you need.
It looks like we're going on the right
I agree.
path.
It seems
per
like it's on the
se,
right path.
hopefully. I mean, I hope there's like an update in a little bit of time, but
Yeah.
it looks like she's agreeing to all these things, which is great.
Yeah.
She needs to understand that you yourself are almost pretty much an adult. You're 17, but again, she needs to understand that you're going to be okay.
I agree.
My mom blocked me for telling the truth, and now I have 0 family left.
No, she's all alone in the world.
My mother got pregnant out of wedlock at age 19. My biological father was in the military, so it would have been quite easy to go after him with child support, but she didn't, and he didn't want to be in the picture, so because of her pride, she didn't go after him. I've never met him. By the way, this comes from a deleted user, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give you some good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do in any given situation. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. OP says, when I was 2.5, she married my first stepfather. He made it clear that I was generally an unwanted addition to my mother. After a while, she forbade him from spanking me, but he still did things like picking me up on my shirt and screaming in my face, telling me I'd never amount to anything. That kind of stuff. Classic terrible stepdad behavior. I'm sorry, OP. That's awful.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible.
Until I was 8 or 10, I genuinely thought that no one liked their father and was shocked to learn otherwise.
That's actually really sad.
That's really sad. Time moved on. I moved out, went to college. Mom divorced first husband, and I haven't seen him since, thank goodness. Pretty quickly thereafter, she married second stepfather. He's okay, I guess. He has 2 daughters who have had no contact with him for years. I'm not 100% sure why. I've moved all over the country for work. She's never visited me in any of the places I've lived that weren't within driving distance because she's afraid to fly. To my knowledge, she's never flown. She's afraid of heights. She's just afraid. I got tired of always coming home to visit or sitting around the house, so for a while we'd meet up at a semi-decent destination, maybe the beach. I eventually stopped telling her if I was traveling because all I'd hear from her would be doom and gloom related to her own fears. Fast forward. I am now 40-something. My sisters are both losers, and anytime I talk to my mom, all she would talk about is what new mess my sisters has gotten into. No questions about me or my life, not that I would tell her anything anyways. I asked her repeatedly to stop talking about my sisters and their children and their messes, as I found it too depressing to listen to constantly. If it wasn't that, it was usually whatever job or church she had most recently quit. Her pattern would be that she'll work or worship somewhere for a while, then someone makes her mad about something stupid and she just quits. So, OP, it sounds like your mom is pretty emotionally unstable, and I would probably just slowly, cut contact. If you can't bring this to her and be like, hey, I feel like our relationship is really suffering and languishing, and I want to be able to have a connection with you, but I find it very difficult. And then if she's not receptive to working on that together with you, I think you just need to move on.
Yeah. Honestly, it took the words right out of my mouth.
She never stops talking about those things. I finally just start interrupting her with a reminder that I've already asked her not to talk about those things, or I say I have to go and just end the conversation. But she keeps trying. The major problem started some years ago when I got really sick. I had also just ended a bad relationship, and I seriously needed some help caring for myself and getting to doctor and legal appointments. The illness involved my lungs, and at the height of the illness, my O2 saturation was in the very low 80s. I was in a bad way. I asked Mom to come help because I couldn't drive myself to doctor's appointments, and she finally did drive up. I lived 3 hours away at this point, but was just acting weird. But to be fair, so was I. Lack of oxygen in your brain will make you do strange things. At any rate, she was sitting in the doctor's office with me when the doctor finally came back with a possible diagnosis that made sense. She labeled it reactive airway disease. By this time, they had already done tons of other tests and x-rays and ruled out etc. Later on, I found out for sure from an allergist that allergens in the air were shutting down my lung. Anyway, she just had this strange demeanor the whole time we were at the doctor's. I woke up the day after the doctor's appointment, and she's sitting in a room of my house reading a book. I asked her if she could make me something to eat, and she acts all bothered, and finally makes me a few pieces of bacon with a side helping of attitude.
Ooh, yum.
Not very nutritious attitude. Finally, I'm like, is something wrong? Yeah, I was barely hanging on, but let me try to figure out what's wrong with you. A neighbor of mine who happens to be an RN had stopped by the night before to check on me, and I had introduced her to my mom. My mom was super upset about this, apparently, because she was already in her pajamas. I was embarrassed and upset her. Also, she wanted to know what was really going on with me. Like, huh? Apparently, she couldn't grasp that I had an actual physical ailment and basically accused me of having some kind of substance or booze problem. Both of my sisters have had really bad problems with this. I'm like, no. Here's the printouts the doctor gave me that explain it. I have had super bad allergies my whole life, so I have no idea why this was hard for her to understand. She takes one look at the papers, drops them, and starts laughing at me. I turn to leave, and she just follows me with more of the, oh, come on now, what's really going on here? I was crying so hard at this point that I had a breathing episode like an asthma attack. After I recovered, I asked her to leave. We didn't speak for several years after that. I, personally, would probably say to never speak to her again after that.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's best, to just get away from a bad situation.
One of our guests on the show, Matt, explained recently to me that the phrase blood is thicker than water is actually a mistranslation. And it's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So it's like the bonds that you choose to make with others is more deep and more important than the contrived bonds that just happen because you were born. But people always use that in the wrong way, where it's like your blood, your relatives are more important than your friends. But it's the literal exact opposite of that.
My philosophy is just if I am happy, with these people, then I'm going to stick with them. If I'm not, then I don't have to. I'm not obligated to do anything. But I get that, having that family connection is hard. So
Yeah, don't have it. She laughed in your face when you had serious illness and is now accusing you of having the same issues as your sisters, which you do not have. I was so sick that to this day, I literally don't know how I made it through that time period until my lungs recovered. My nurse neighbor definitely was a lifesaver. I was going to say, you should lean on your nurse neighbor. My stepfather later confirmed during a phone conversation where he was trying to convince me to call and apologize to her that my mom simply didn't believe I was sick. Fast forward about 3 years, and my fiance and his family want to meet my family. I've explained the situation to husband, but of course I get the, you only get one mother, you should try to work it out, blah, blah, blah. So I bite the bullet and ask her and my stepfather if they'd like to meet us for Thanksgiving and meet my fiance and his family, as the place we were going to was within driving distance. They agreed. The day before they were supposed to arrive was Mom's birthday, so I had texted her happy birthday. We'll see you guys tomorrow. What time are you guys leaving? Various things like that throughout the day. I never heard anything back. Finally, later that night, I call and ask what time they're leaving tomorrow. Oh, well, they're not coming now because I didn't make a big enough deal about her birthday. Apparently, she had somehow missed all of my texts. Despite my irritation, I said, look, this isn't about you, this is about me, and I've already told everyone you're coming. So they finally show up late the next day. The situation was horrible and tense, and apparently I was rude to her the whole time. They left early. I bite the bullet again a year later and invited them to the wedding. Again, they left early, and later I got some story about how rude I was to her, about how many pieces of bacon she took at breakfast. Yeah.
what?
Your mom is a petulant a-hole, and she has her own problems. She's a human being. You're not indebted to her because she also doesn't seem like she took very good care of you.
Yeah. If she let all of that happen and then put you in a bad situation and didn't really is oh well, whatever, didn't think anything of it, and then is now blaming you for other stuff of just random stuff too, of just well, you were rude to me. That's such a cop out.
Yeah.
I feel ugh.
You know what's really rude is you marrying some guy who would pick up OP by their shirt and shake him and scream in their face.
Yeah.
And then staying with that guy.
That's rude.
If I have a kid and my partner does that to them once, it's over forever immediately.
Yeah.
I understand, maybe there's some situations where it's because of survival, it's you don't have any income, whatever. You have to be with that person in that moment, but it's
I'd rather take my chances. Throw me to the wolves.
Right. It's you got to figure something else out because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
A few years have gone by, and while things weren't all the Waltons, we're at least friends on Facebook and occasionally send Christmas cards and whatnot. A few months ago, one of my friends posted a question on Facebook asking something like this: explain the impact your dad had on your life. I replied and said none. That he had
Sorry, that was good.
Yeah, that he had gotten my mother pregnant and didn't stick around to do anything else. A few weeks later, I noticed I haven't seen anything from my mom popping up in a while and found out that she had not only unfriended, but blocked me. Apparently, and unbeknownst to me, she and any of my other friends were able to see this factually true comment that I had made, and it embarrassed and upset her. I said, okay, why didn't you call me then? I explained that I didn't know that she or anyone else could see the comment. I could have taken it down, and that defriending and blocking me seemed like a really immature way to handle it. She then goes on to say this: I did the best I could, and if that wasn't good enough for you, then you need to let it go, just like I had to do with Mama. I just thank God that I never put her down in front of others or disrespected her. To be clear, OP made a comment about their dad not being around, and now their mom is saying that embarrassed me. So
yeah, it seems like it's very much like a relationship of well, what about me? The mom always needs to be either the one in charge or the everyone feels bad for her, everyone, blah blah blah, everyone, it always just circles back to her, it seems like.
yeah, 100%. She had a bad relationship with my grandma as well. Shortly before all this happened, my stepfather called me up and basically asked me if I would call my mother and tell her what a great mother she's always been, because they're both beat down and tired from all the drama with my sisters. I said no, and explained that I thought that 90% of her drama was self-created because she's all about herself.
Boom, I just said it.
Yes. He continued to ask if I could call her up and lavish her with praise, but finally gave up and hung up. Apparently, my comment about my lack of a father was the last straw for her, and she couldn't take any more. But by the way, there is way more full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you have the full archive to listen to whenever you want. There's a little bit more story left. Yeah, I think, honestly, it's like it's no contact time. She's already being like, this is enough for me. It's like...
I mean, she kind of got rid of contact herself. I feel like she did you a favor.
She's got problems that she could work on. She won't work on them. Her husband clearly sees no issue and just wants you to, like, lie to her and be like, oh, she was a great mom, which she wasn't. Anyone who stays with a partner who's a towards their children is not a good parent.
Agreed.
With, like, very, very, very few exceptions where it's like, okay, I have to stay with this guy because we have nowhere else to go and it's negative 20 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Maybe. But even then,
But
it's
there's
like...
also shelters.
I rest my case. So, at this point, she and her husband have zero contact with any of the 5 children they have between them. I don't have any contact with one sister, and the other one I have very limited contact with because all she does is ask for money. So, at this point, I have exactly 0 family. My grandparents are gone. I have no cousins or any contact with my only aunt. I have no relationships with my niece and nephews. One's in prison, another is well on his way there. And I wouldn't trust any of them alone in my house. I see the relationships my husband has with his family, and how supporting and loving they are, and although I'm grateful for them, it's not the same. It depresses me because my family is such crap. I did some sleuthing a few years ago and found out that my real dad had another daughter. I contacted her on Facebook and explained who I was. She acted like I was trying to steal the family inheritance and blocked me on Facebook. I am actually quite well off and don't need anyone's money. It's like, man, could I just catch a break? I guess I should be thankful for what I have and stop dwelling on the past. But it's difficult. I just don't understand how a mother could act the way mine has acted. What can I do to stop being sad and depressed over the situation and just forget about it? I know I'm better off with no contact with them anyway. It's just sad and confusing. And that is the end of that story. My mother accused me of letting my wife parent alone, so I snapped at her.
How dare you say that?
I, 35 male, went on a family outing over the weekend with my wife, kids, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and my own parents. My mother said something that didn't sit right with me, and I'm not sure I handled it well. By the way, this comes from user Throwaway No Respect Wife. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we'll try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know your take in the comments. OP says, okay, I know I didn't handle it well since I snapped at her in the zoo food court and took my son and walked off, but I'm not sure if not well equates to being the a-hole. My wife, in-laws, and parents all seem to think so, but I hope some unbiased opinions might see it differently. Brother, if your wife is already on Team A-hole, just listen to your wife.
Yeah.
There's a lot I'm dealing with at the moment in terms of my marriage, and a divorce is a possibility.
Oh, okay, now I don't fully trust your wife anymore. Or maybe you're still the a-hole.
Yeah. Long story short, I lost my job when my wife was pregnant, leaving her as the sole breadwinner. She punted me out for 6 months.
Whoa.
I moved back in after getting 3 jobs, all of which I still have, but I'm living in the basement with no intimacy or physical contact of any kind, and we're starting marriage counseling this week. I posted on Reddit for anonymous feedback, most of which was solidly in the she's being a and I'm being a simp/martyr category. As a result, I've been taking a long, hard look at all the relationships in my life. This brings us to last weekend, when my wife made plans to take both our kids, 5 male and infant daughter, to a pool party event at our local zoo with her parents and mine,
What?
not me. I mentioned my exclusion, and she had several reasons for not inviting me, which aren't really relevant here. But when I pushed and asked to be included, she relented and invited me along. And that was the start of the issue. Imagine one of the issues when she was just like, I just don't like the way you stare at the apes.
Something about it freaks me out.
Her parents are not that fond of me right now, or ever, and my own parents are more concerned with keeping the peace with my wife, so as to not risk losing contact with my kids if divorce comes to pass. So my joining the zoo trip upped the tension immediately, as my in-laws assumed I pressured my wife into letting me come along. Aren't you a grown man who can, do what he wants? I'm sorry. Can't you also just be like, I want to go to the zoo?
Yeah. I'm just going to the zoo, man.
I'm going to the zoo.
Zoo's not private property. Well, I mean,
The
It
zoo is probably, I would think
it's
some
not-
of them are private.
Yeah, it might be. But more so, you can't. I bought a ticket. I can come to the zoo.
I bought a ticket. I'm here at the zoo.
You can't me at the zoo. You don't own the zoo.
They were barely civil, and my parents were clearly worried I was going to cause some sort of argument or blow up, which in hindsight was probably a valid concern. It started off with little things. My wife was carrying the baby, and my mother insisted on holding my son's hand and walking as far on the other side of the group from me as possible. My son was playing in the animal-themed bouncy house and had long exceeded the allowed time. When I tried to get him, my mom told me to let him have his fun and stop wrecking the mood. When we all went for a ride on the little train that goes around the zoo, I was in the last car by myself, while the grandmas each had a kid. The only time anyone actually talked to me was to ask me for something out of the diaper bag, send me off to buy waters and sodas, or tell me to lighten up. Everything came to a head when we went to the food court to enjoy the air conditioner. It was like 100 degrees outside, and enjoy some snacks. My wife is usually very anti-sugar, so no candy or cookies, but my mother brought my son 2 bags of Skittles anyway. When I tried to tell her not to, she gave me some line about grandma knowing best and getting special privileges. The problem really came when we all sat down and my mother started talking with my wife about what it was like to have 2 kids, both so young. For context, I'm an only child and my parents have said repeatedly over the years that this is by design. They only ever wanted 1 kid. They've also mentioned more than once that my mom had lost a pregnancy before she had me. So there's a layer of I was the second choice crap in there for me to deal with. That's maybe one of the most selfish ways I've ever seen someone internally digest that happening to someone.
Yeah, that's.
That you're the second choice.
I don't know if I would.
I'm immediately not a fan of you
Yeah.
for describing your mother's miscarriage as you being the second choice. You're actually trash for that.
That doesn't make sense.
I understand that they didn't actually make a choice, but there have been more than a few incidents in my life where they took someone else's side over mine, including when my wife punted me out and they refused to let me stay with them. That feeling of being second best is sort of baked into my DNA. My mom told my wife that she's always impressed by parents who can handle multiple kids because she knew right from the beginning that she couldn't do it. She said it was especially impressive when those kids are both so young and such a handful. All good, all true. No issue so far. Then my mother said to my wife, it must be even more difficult doing it as a single parent.
With OP there?
It's one of those things you just gotta pretend you didn't hear.
Dang.
OP continues, I swear that even though I'm not my wife's favorite person right now and her parents really don't like me, everyone's head snapped up, staring at her with almost coordinated WTF looks. To her credit, my wife tried to save my mom from herself by pointing out she wasn't in any way single, and no matter what's going on between us, I've always contributed to taking care of the kids, which is the most credit she's given me for anything in a year and a half. My mom nodded along and said, of course, you're not actually single, and everyone tensed because we knew the but was coming. I had left my wife alone for 6 months, and even I've admitted that I failed her as a partner. So even though I was back in the house now, my mom could only imagine that my wife probably felt like she was still doing it all on her own. No one spoke up for me at that time. Yeah,
What do you
I'm
mean
sorry.
you
Was
left your
so-
wife alone for 6 months?
Yeah, what do you mean? I
What do
thought
you
the
mean
whole
by
story
that?
was that she punted you
You
out.
said she you out. What do you mean by that?
Did she tell you, like, leave for today? Where she was just like, please just get out of my sight. I just can't deal with you right now. And you took that as, fine, I'll get out of your sight for 6 months.
But I don't understand what he means by that.
We're missing something there. And also, very weird of you to just, like, expect someone to speak up for you in that moment. Incredibly socially awkward, incredibly socially uncomfortable. This is not a day for everyone to like, defend you as a husband. This is supposed to be a
Yeah.
nice family trip to the zoo.
Yeah.
No one's going to get up on their soapbox for you right now, dude.
No.
And that's okay.
Just let mom say crazy stuff and then talk to her later and be like, hey, mom,
Yeah.
not cool.
You really harshed the mellow in the zood court.
Yeah. It runs in the family.
My emotions have been right below the surface for months, and I couldn't tell if I was going to cry or throw one of the bags of Skittles at my mom or both. I usually favor a shut down completely kind of conflict avoidance, but I just couldn't do it. I stood up, probably more forcefully than I needed to, as my chair almost tipped over. I stepped around my mom, collected my son from his seat with his bag of candy, and started walking away. Someone asked me where I was going, and I snapped without even looking back that I was taking my son to see the penguins. and we'd meet everyone back at the cars. I said it would be good for me to get some practice as a single parent so I don't fail at that too. It sounds way more intense than it was since I had started crying by then, and my voice cracked, making me sound like a whiny teenage boy, but it made the point. I don't think that's better, dude.
I don't know if that made the point that you wanted it to make, but I hope so.
My parents left while my son and I were at the penguin habitat, leaving it to my in-laws to drive the rest of us home. My father-in-law pulled me aside when they dropped us off to talk to me privately. He told me that my mother had left in tears and that she clearly hadn't meant what she said in that way.
No, she did. She clarified. She said, "Oh, I know," but she clarified
Well,
after.
no, I don't think there was a but.
Oh.
OP said that everyone was waiting for the but.
Oh, and she
I don't
didn't
think
say
there ever
one?
was one. So it
Oh,
really
is
could have
that-
been a situation where she was just making a joke at OP's expense. Being like,
Yeah.
and how are you doing this? Like, elbow, like, how are you doing this as a single parent?
It doesn't feel.
the very
Didn't feel like that.
At the very best, it's a bad joke. And maybe the reason it didn't feel like that, though, is because it's how OP's writing it.
It's true. Could just be OP's interpretation. I still think.
Because she
oh.
did immediately go, yeah, no, of course, you're not actually. But it is just like a, dude, like, I'd be like, Mom,
Yeah.
why are you making that joke? Why are you
Yeah.
making the joke that my wife is leaving me when we're
Yeah.
like not in a great place? Not a great joke
Yeah.
to make. Kinda adds a little tension to the air. Father-in-law said I shouldn't be so sensitive about things since I was the one who effed up in the first place and
What
even
did you
opened the single
do?
parent door.
What did you do?
He opened the single parent door. My wife said much the same after we got the kids to bed before I went to the basement to work my online job. I've gotten 4 or 5 "I'm sorry you feel that way, but" texts from my mother and 1 "apologies heal" text from my dad. By the way, I'll never apologize for you healing, with full episodes of stories like this for you to listen to on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you've got the whole OK Storytime catalog at your fingertips. There's a little bit more story here.
I think OP's mom was overstepping all day. I think she was trying to push the boundaries because I don't think she respects OP anymore. And we don't really know what he did. There might be a reason for it. I don't think it's right regardless of what the reason is because OP and his wife are trying to fix the relationship.
Yeah.
So I feel like just regardless of whether he was in the wrong or not, you can't really be saying and doing those things. But I think because of whatever he did, his mom no longer respects him and now has tried to insert herself into his parenting stuff.
Yeah, when parents overstep or when people do whatever, I always just go silly baby.
Yeah.
You gotta treat your parents like they're just little silly babies doing silly baby stuff. Don't let them have all of the power in the world over you. Let's see how this story ends. I drop the kids off at their house every morning before I head to work. And yesterday and today, my dad was the only one who came out to greet me. My mom is still texting my wife pictures of the kids throughout the day, but she never sent them to me, so I wouldn't have noticed it as a silent treatment. So have at it, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my mother and clearly hurting her feelings? And there is an edit. I thought I wrote it clearly enough, but I guess not. My wife punted me out because I lost my job and didn't get a new one immediately. That left the financial burden on her, and she felt betrayed and wanted space. We've got some comments here. I wonder what the internet has to say. Comment 1. I think your wife is already mentally checked out of this relationship. At this point, her asking to go part-time or totally be a stay-at-home mom while you keep 3 jobs is for a bigger alimony. You've done the work, pull your share of the load, and seem to be trying to fix this. To me, it sounds like everyone finds it easier to crap on you instead of calling your wife out for her current behavior because they don't want to lose the grandkids. Your parents and in-laws are being a-holes. I would suggest individual therapy to start rebuilding your own spirit. Sounds to me like you need more help than you're letting on. Focus on the marriage counseling and be open and honest there. Your wife may just be very angry and resentful still, and she won't admit it. At the same time, discreetly speak with an absolute shark of a divorce attorney to get all your legal options figured out for the best and fairest outcome. It is possible that if your marriage ends, your wife will do her best to make it as ugly as possible, and your parents and in-laws will be of zero support. What a great comment from someone who really doesn't have your best interest at heart at all. Maybe
I feel
not
like-
with your best interest, but like the relationships.
Yeah. I feel like to say, oh, she clearly has checked out is
kind of not true based on what I've read.
I mean, they're actively going to therapy. And again, we don't know why she kicked him out. So it could be, you know, we don't know exactly whose fault all of that stuff was. But it seems like she's actively going to therapy to fix the relationship and also defended you, which, like, a person who did not like you wouldn't really have the desire to do that usually.
Yeah. I just don't like speaking out of both sides of your mouth like that.
Yeah.
The guy's like, really just buy into the marriage counseling and can be committed to rebuilding your relationship.
But get a divorce
But
lawyer.
also secretly talk to the best divorce
Yeah.
lawyer in town and get all your ducks in a row. It's like, what happens after you've done all that rebuilding and she finds out you were talking to a divorce attorney? All of that rebuilding goes out the window.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The more prepared you are for any outcome, the better you'll come out of it at the end of it. It's very ugly, but take it one day at a time. And there's an edit to document everything, her behavior, your solutions, steps you've taken, measures implemented to earn her trust, etc. Be as detailed as possible. You will need it. OP replies, I did therapy for a year after I lost my job. Not currently seeing anyone, as with 3 jobs, I don't have a lot of time for it. And now that time needs to be devoted to marriage counseling. But I know I need help. I need to figure out what's legit and reasonable guilt that I should be feeling and what's my personal history making me feel like I deserve continuous punishment. Comment 2 said, should have told mom you wanted a little more practice raising the kids solo because you didn't want to F him up like she did hers. Oh, I know, I'm a monster. But sometimes the world needs monsters to scare overconfident, brazen people back into their tiny little corners of existence. I hate that. That was
That was a
bad.
bad
I didn't
comment.
like either of those comments.
That was a bad comment.
I told my mother not to outshine me at my own wedding.
Get your own wedding.
I, 26 female, am getting married later this year, and while weddings are supposed to be magical and all about the bride, there's one small problem. My mother, 49 female, is drop dang gorgeous and has the personality of a Bollywood hero on her 3rd espresso. She's not evil, I swear. She's just accidentally fabulous. The kind of person who could wear a potato sack and still get compliments like, you're glowing. Meanwhile, I'm standing there in Swarovski studded couture, giving discount bridesmaid out of budget wedding vibes in comparison. By the way, this comes from Gojo's wifey is 0712 on the Charlotte Dober YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
And OP says, this isn't new. Growing up, I was constantly in her shadow. People would meet her and then look at me like I'd been adopted from a slightly less glamorous family across the street. I've had relatives ask if I was the help or if I was the neighbor's kid tagging along.
Oof.
Thanks, Auntie Sunita. I've fought tooth and nail to grow out of that. College was my turning point. I met people who saw me for me, my humor, my kindness, my charisma. I've worked through years of self-doubt and finally reached a place where I don't just tolerate myself, I like myself. But then wedding planning began, and those old feelings came rushing back like bad 90s fashion. Earlier this year, my brother got married. My mom wore this shimmering regal lehenga and walked into the wedding like it was her big day. My sister-in-law, bless her Zen soul, wasn't fazed. But I was watching from the sidelines thinking, please not again. So here I am, tempted to have the conversation. I want to gently ask her to tone it down for my wedding, not to wear something dull or unflattering. Just maybe don't show up looking like a goddess who just descended from Mount Kailash. I want to be the one people look at, just this once, without adding a mental footnote of, but did you see her mom? But I haven't said anything yet. I'm scared that it'll come off as petty or insecure, or worse, hurtful. And I know that she doesn't mean to steal the spotlight. It just kind of follows her around like a backup dancer. So, am I the a-hole for wanting my mom to dress appropriately and not look like the main character at my wedding? Or am I just protecting my childhood trauma onto a lehenga? And there is an update. I went ahead and brought this up with my family, starting with my brother, 28 male. I thought he'd be the one person who'd get where I was coming from. He's older, he's the favorite. Don't know if my mom would agree, but it feels that way sometimes. And he's always been super protective of her. So I thought, okay, let me try talking to him first and maybe he can help me navigate this. At first, everything was going well. We were chatting about how we could approach our mom without making it feel like a huge deal. I even had my fiance, 26 male, with me, thinking that he'd be the calm voice of reason. But that didn't exactly go as planned.
Uh-oh.
My fiance, who I've been with for 4 years, by the way, suddenly turned to me and said, why are you making such a big deal out of this? It's not even that important. I was totally taken aback. He knows exactly what I've been through growing up with my mom. always being the center of attention. And to hear him dismiss something that's clearly important to me, it was like a slap in the face. So I tried to explain that it's not about being petty or insecure. This wedding is supposed to be about us. It's supposed to be my day where I feel like the center of attention just for once. And what does he say? You'll never be the center of attention in front of your mother. Just stop this nonsense and let's get the wedding over with. I was floored. I have never heard him talk to me like that. It was completely out of the blue, and honestly, it broke my heart. I could feel myself about to cry, which for me is rare. And that just made my brother snap. He was really mad, trying his best to stay calm, but clearly upset, and told my fiance, this is the person you've been with for 4 years. You know her. If she's telling you this is bothering her as a partner, you should listen. But my fiance didn't get it. He just doubled down, saying that I needed to get over my petty insecurities and grow up. That hit me like a ton of bricks. And in that moment, I just said I couldn't. I stood up, looked at him, and said, if that's how you feel, then maybe we shouldn't get married at all. And I left. My brother followed me, trying to comfort me, but it's been 2 days since then, and I haven't spoken to my fiance. He's been reaching out, trying to connect, but right now, I'm not sure I even want to talk to him. My brother has spoken to my parents, who know something went down, but they're not sure what exactly. To be honest, I'm really struggling with whether or not I even want to marry this person anymore. It's like I don't even recognize him. I've been thinking a lot about this relationship, and I don't know if I'm in love with him anymore, or if I even know him anymore. I just want to clarify that he's never been weird around my mom. He genuinely thinks of her as his own mother. His mom passed away when he was young, and over the past few years, my mom has been incredibly kind and nurturing towards him, which he truly appreciates. Coming from an Indian family, I've never introduced any of my previous partners to my family before my fiance. It's a big step for many of us. That being said, his recent response was utterly disgusting and completely unexpected. This kind of behavior is not typical of him. He has never disregarded my feelings before. In fact, he's always been the one to validate them and stand by me. But we do have an update. Oh my goodness.
I think it's super fair for you want to at least call off, delay it. If you,
For
have a
sure.
conversation.
Yeah.
See why he's saying all that, but be like, hey,
Yeah.
we've had, why this affected me.
Right.
Trying to make it not a big deal. And if you can't support me, I
Yeah.
don't know and if you're not looking forward to the wedding, I don't know if this is going
Right.
to work.
Like, you're the one person, if no one else, that should support me and
Yeah.
understand my insecurities and try to build me up instead of just telling me to get
Exactly.
over it.
Exactly.
Like, do you even want a wedding if you just want to get it over with?
yeah.
Something you're not looking forward to? Like, what?
Ridiculous.
So we do have another update. Let's start with my mom. After everything blew up with my fiance, I decided to finally have that conversation with her and my dad. It was scary because how do you tell your own mother, someone you love deeply, admire, and who's never intentionally hurt you, that her presence has sometimes made you feel invisible? At first, she laughed it off. She thought I was being dramatic and overly emotional because of wedding stress. But I didn't back down. I walked her through what it felt like growing up in her shadow. The comments, the comparisons, the way I would shrink into the background even when I desperately wanted to be seen. It wasn't an easy talk. There were tears. There was silence. But slowly, she began to really hear me. And then my dad chimed in, and that changed everything. He told her he'd seen me struggle for years. Oh, wow. That while she is the center of his world, he always noticed how hard it was for me to stand out in a room that she walked into. He admitted that he never truly sat her down to talk about it before, but now, seeing how deeply it affected me, he wished he had. I've never felt more seen by both of them. Since then, my mom has been trying, genuinely trying. She's been asking me about what I want to wear, what kind of tone I want for the wedding, how I want to feel that day. She even said that she won't make any grand entrances and has asked me what she should wear to make sure that it complements, not competes. She's stepping back, not because she's being forced to, but because she finally understands. And that means everything. Now about my ex-fiance. After the incident where he completely dismissed my feelings, I took time to process everything. And then I told my parents what happened. My dad was livid and disappointed in a way that I've never seen before. He sat my fiance down and said, and I quote, "She's been in the background all her life and wants to be in the spotlight once. You not supporting that shows that you want her to stay in the background forever. I'd rather have my daughter unmarried and glowing than have her be married and doled down for the rest of her life."
Ooh, good dad.
Nice.
Good dad.
That's like such a great way to explain it,
Yeah.
too. So the shocker? His father agreed with mine. Wow. He told me privately that he was proud of me for standing up for myself.
Yay.
He said that he wished his son had handled things differently and that he supports whatever decision I make. So I made it. I'm calling off the wedding.
Yay.
It's bittersweet if I'm honest. I loved him, I still do, but I don't respect or trust him anymore. I thought he was my person, but if someone can look at you during one of the most emotionally vulnerable times of your life and say, just get over it, then maybe they never saw you to begin with. This wasn't just one fight or a bad day. It was the moment that I realized that my feelings could be tossed aside like they were inconvenient. And I'm not someone who puts herself second. Not for anyone. I never have been. And by the way, I hope you put us first and listen to full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime.
I don't want to be second.
I don't want to be second. I know you want to put yourself first or whatever, but maybe you should.
Put yourself second.
Maybe you should for us.
Be humble.
But there is a little bit more to the story. Yeah, I think that's amazing.
I'm so glad that your dad was on your side and your parents were so receptive to all of this.
And that your fiance's dad was on your side too.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that your fiance sucks, but
Right. Of course.
but I'm glad that you stood up to yourself, stood up for yourself before you got married to him.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a little bit more. So yes, I love deeply. I love myself enough to walk away. And for those wondering, my mom hasn't made any loud declarations about my decision or the canceled wedding. She's actually been very quiet and respectful. I think part of her is still processing everything, but she's handling it well, and I wasn't expecting that. Small steps, but important ones. So that's where we are. The bride is single. The lehengas were packed. The mandap is canceled. And the only spotlight I care about now is the one I'm standing confidently in on my own. No wedding, no groom, but hey, at least no one will outshine me now.
So true.
There you go. And
There
yeah,
you go. Positives, upsides.
right. And now, besides the wedding stuff, you've had that conversation with your mom.
Now
and
you
your
don't have to have that
parents.
again.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully this won't be the only day that you'll feel in the spotlight and
I
you'll
agree.
Be empowered and
Hopefully
focused
this will
on
be,
in the future.
a helpful conversation for the future.
Yeah.
In all areas of life.
Absolutely. But that's the end of that story.
My mother met someone else online and it ruined our family.
Was he a prince?
And we do have a trigger warning for emotional abuse.
Oh no.
I, 16 male, have always been very close to my mother, 50 female. I always knew that if I needed help, she would be there for me regardless of what it was. My dad, 52 male, on the other hand, though we loved each other and still do, wasn't as involved in my personal life, usually having to know how I was feeling through my mom. By the way, this comes from Marky Babies?
Yeah, sure.
And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
And OP says, this, however, changed some months ago. Around January, my mom started to obsess with politics and Twitter, spending more and more time on the site arguing with strangers and being on the phone with some of the friends she made there. As time went on, she slowly started to isolate herself from her family and friends, closing herself in her room and barely speaking with my dad and me. The relationship between my parents hasn't been the best for the last 3 years because of different reasons. They became distant and rarely talked. At times, it seemed if they were just roommates sharing a house and only talking when necessary. Between her and me, though, there had never been any problems. Some occasional arguing, sure, but nothing serious. So it really hurt to see how she pushed me out of her life. This went on for some months until recently, about a month ago. By accident, I heard how she told one of her friends things like, "I love you, honey," and "I don't know what I would do without you." I exploded. I screamed at her without insulting or being threatening. That said, I'm not proud of what I did and have already apologized for losing my temper. I started to cry. I felt betrayed and felt horrible for my dad, though in the end, he didn't take it too badly since he kind of expected it.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, if she was closed off and isolating.
Right.
and really not talking to them. Yeah.
She kept telling me how this guy gave her the attention that she lacked at home.
Well, if you stay in your room, it's kind of hard to get attention.
She's like, I never get attention. I'm gonna go sit in my room and sulk.
I'm locking the door
You
and you can't come in. Why aren't you talking to me?
I'm locking my door. Give me attention.
Please.
And how it wasn't cheating because they didn't have spicy sleep.
Well, that's not how that works.
It would have been pretty difficult since the guy literally lives in another island. I told her that her excuses were stupid and to stop trying to justify her actions. And then my father came home. He found me almost having an anxiety attack, and after calming down a bit, I told him everything. To sum up, they agreed to a friendly divorce. Everything was as fine as it could be. Or at least it was until a week ago, when, because of a stupid thing about internet payments, my mother started to scream at my dad, telling him that she was fed up, that he always did the same, and that he was manipulating me to hate her, when in fact it was quite the opposite. She said some really awful things and even pushed me because I was supposedly about to hurt her, even though I would never dare to even think of hurting her. After a lot of screaming, I had a full anxiety attack. I started wailing while she just kept telling me, look what your father is doing to you. If he just paid, none of this would have even happened. And if you love him so much, leave with him. But in the end, you will understand that I'm right.
Girl, you're the one who's like leaving your family emotionally.
Right. Needless to say, I was a mess. I had never seen her act in such a way, and it hurt me a lot. We called my grandma, and she asked me to give her a hug before going to sleep, even if what she said was that bad. And so I did. Not because I wanted to forgive her, but because my grandma would calm down a bit. But to add insult to injury, before even apologizing, which she didn't do at that moment, one of the first things she said was that I should stop insulting the guy she found on Twitter because he respects me and my father a lot.
I'm sorry. OP's mom said that the guy that she's cheating with respects her ex-husband.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. He was having an affair with her. It's not really a sign of respect, I don't think, in any culture.
I said whatever, but again, it hurt that even after all the things that happened that day, the first thing she could think of was defending her boyfriend. Someone trying to date a married person because he knew she was married. He doesn't deserve to be treated with respect, if you ask me. And here I am, a week after this incident, and still a mess. She has apologized for most of what she said, and has started to be really affectionate, giving me hugs and trying to talk to me more often, but I just can't see her in the same way as before. She isn't even trying to change her behavior that much. She still spends way too much time on Twitter, and I don't know what to do. I don't think I want to cut her off, but every time I see her, I get in a bad mood and just want to go outside to take a walk or meet up with my friends so that I can relax and think about other stuff. So what should I do? My dad and the rest of my family are encouraging me to value her efforts to recover our old relationship, but I don't know if I will be able to, or at least if I even want to leave this behind. We have an update. Dakota, what are your thoughts?
I think it sounds a little hypocritical.
Yes.
Is that the right response? Am I right on the money with that?
Had you not heard it?
It just seems like being like, yeah, we should just be good with this. It's like, why?
Yeah. So
should we
basically,
really be okay with this?
I don't know. I don't think that you should rush yourself into recovering a relationship that has been emotionally damaging to you. If at some point you find yourself down the line ready, then that's fine. Like, don't close yourself off to future reconciliation.
Yeah.
But in the moment, if you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, then I don't think you have to.
Yeah, I would agree. But we have an update. So, hi. I posted here nearly 6 years ago
Dang.
about how strained my relationship with my mother had become after she closed herself off from both me and my father because of her obsession with politics. A lot of stuff has happened since then, so I figured I could make an update. I debated for a while if I should even make this update, since after all, it's been half a decade since I made the original post, and it didn't even get that much attention. In the end, though, I think it will give me a bit of closure, which has been difficult to find otherwise. For starters, I ended up moving out permanently from my mother's house not long after I posted. We had a couple big arguments about her behavior, in which she kept insisting that she had done nothing wrong and I should not be upset at her. I tried using some of the recommendations I got from people here, such as setting some clear boundaries with her, but nothing really worked. The straw that broke the camel's back, though, was when she told me that my uncle's cancer had come back only as a way to hurt me.
Was it true?
Since she didn't mention it before to avoid causing me stress.
Oh, okay, so it was true. She just
She just-
strategically mentioned it.
She just waited
To
to bring it
cause
up.
pain.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, I'm glad you moved out of there. She kept that information in her back pocket until I made her angry enough to want to hurt me. As I mentioned before, I moved out and I ended up living with my dad and my grandma a couple towns over. By then, I was getting close to turning 18, so there wasn't much she could do to stop me, and to her credit, she didn't. After that last incident, I pretty much cut her off, and it has stayed that way up until now with a couple exceptions. The main one being that my grandfather ended up passing away in 2022, so I reestablished contact with her partly as a way to try to make my grandmother happy after her husband passed away, and partly because, in a way, I did miss her. As you might guess, it did not work out. At first, things seemed to be going slightly better than last time, since she didn't push as hard for my affection and seemed more respectful of my boundaries. That didn't last, though, and after another difficult incident during Christmas of that same year, I cut her off again, this time for good. Other than that, and for me personally, these years have been a bit of a roller coaster, with quite a few highs and lows. I finished high school, got into college, gained 40 kilograms, lost 25 of them, got really depressed, slowly crawled out of it, made some new friends, lost some old ones.
We just montaged so hard in that one sentence.
We just
Dang.
montaged your roller coaster.
Whoa, I just felt like I was like, whoa. I was on freaking Space Mountain right there. Saw your whole life flash behind my eyes.
Okay.
Good job.
By the way, it'll never feel like a roller coaster for you because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Search OK Storytime.
If you
To be
want
fair,
a nice,
though, it may be a roller coaster.
soothing drive. It might be a roller coaster.
It might be a roller coaster
We can't promise that.
because this story's
Get
in
on
there.
our roller coaster.
Legally, might be a roller coaster.
Just to warn you.
Trigger warning, might be a roller coaster.
We got a little bit more though, but
I mean, yeah, it's been 6 years. Seems like
you moved out.
you moved out, moved in with your dad and your grandma. You're figuring your life out.
Yes.
It's tricky, as life often is. Good luck.
Woo. Right now, though, I'd say that I'm better than ever. Okay, there we go. I turned 22 a few months ago, and for the first time in a while, I look forward to the future. I just graduated from college. I'm officially a historian now. So cool. I already got into the master's I want to do. I have a pretty chill job, and next year I'm planning on staying for a few months in Belgium thanks to an EU program. Things are not perfect, of course, but I have a strong support system which has helped me not completely fall apart these last few years. My dad in particular has been my rock all this time, and our bond is stronger than ever. Even though him and I are very different and he didn't always know how to help me, he really gave it his all and I couldn't be more thankful. So yeah, these almost 6 years have not been easy, but I feel like I've come out on the other side happier and stronger. And that's the end of that story.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law invaded our romantic getaway, so now I'm just staying home.
I don't want to go anymore.
Dear husband's cousin is getting married on the beach this summer, and we're invited. It's about a 5-hour drive from us, but we're hoping my sister could take our kids for 2 nights so we could drive down, stay in the hotel, have some beach time and couple time, and celebrate the wedding. It sounded like such a great time. The chance to see some extended family for dear husband
and the chance for us to get some away time as a couple. By the way, this comes from user I'ma read that, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
And I'm Angie.
So OP says, enter mother-in-law. Father-in-law passed away recently, and as predicted, rather than focusing on selling her house and moving closer to her 5 other kids, she is basically digging in here and expecting us to be her social life, and dear husband to be her replacement husband. Dear husband does an okay job holding to the boundaries we've set, but it still causes tension in our marriage, and I'm still constantly having to see this woman and having her calling every day for dear husband to fix something for her. And of course, she's also invited to the wedding. Dear husband's cousin is her niece after all. So, when she found out we were planning on going, she got really excited about driving down together with us. And guess what? Getting a place to stay together with us. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that she would also be invited, and she would expect us to drive her and stay in the same hotel room with her. I don't actually think I am physically capable of riding the car with that woman for 5 hours. Even having dinner with her makes me physically uncomfortable. A 5-hour car ride would be extremely difficult for me, and staying with her in a hotel situation? I cannot handle that scenario. To his credit, dear husband immediately let her know that we would be using this trip for couples time, and we would want to be alone. But she didn't give up. And she will continue to ask us about driving down together. She might give up on the hotel thing, but not the drive. Now, originally I had thought it was only a 3-hour drive, so when mother-in-law mentioned that it's actually 5 hours, I told dear husband I am not certain I can do that. 10 hours total in the car over 3 days is a lot for me. And when I told dear husband that, he told me that was okay and that he would still go with his mother. I explained why him turning our romantic getaway into a weekend with his mother was not the way to deal with this situation. His reasoning is that he still wants to go and he thinks he can handle the drive with her. And I understand that. I don't want to tell him, don't go. He doesn't know these cousins very well, but he's excited to reconnect with his family. Still, part of me is hurt by his response. The other issue is that even if I do decide to go, I can handle the 5-hour drive and tell mother-in-law she can't drive down with us. I don't think I have it in me to face the consequences when mother-in-law tells the extended family we refuse to let her drive down with us. I don't know many of the people that will be there. They don't know me very well also. So I would be the daughter-in-law who forced this elderly woman to drive 5 hours by herself because I was too uncomfortable to drive with her. Dear husband says that anyone who knows his mother will understand and empathize with us for saying no. He's totally fine just telling her we want to be alone and she can't drive with us. He doesn't even feel guilty about it. Okay, then do it. But I do. I can handle telling her to get her own hotel room, but I have a hard time telling her to drive 5 hours alone simply because I find her difficult to be around. But I can't let go of this concern about being seen as the daughter-in-law, making an elderly woman either miss the wedding or drive 5 hours alone to get there. And since I am not comfortable driving down with her, it comes down to this. I can't go. So our lovely romantic getaway weekend is now me at home with the kids and dear husband having a weekend getaway with his mother. Is he really having a weekend getaway with his mother? Because he also seems like he doesn't want to be with her, but...
Yeah, that's kind of, I feel like you might be self-sabotaging a little bit here, OP.
Yeah.
I think, like, I get it. Like, that would be super uncomfortable. I would probably feel guilty, too. But if he's really, like, reassuring you that, like, he doesn't want that either, and he's totally fine with that, then, you know, maybe he can take the fall a little bit. And
I was going to say, it's his mom, and
Yeah.
he can take, I mean, you can be like, can you just take the
just,
blame
like-
on this one?
Right.
Like, I will feel, like, if you genuinely tell him, like, I feel guilty that if it would, people heard it was from me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, honey, like,
You're good.
everyone understands, and like, I got this.
Yeah. Just have it come. Then it's not the daughter-in-law that's doing it. It's the son.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And and if you don't go, there's gonna be more questions of like, why didn't she come, kind of thing. And
Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be a bigger issue.
it's gonna
for
be a
sure.
bigger issue. I think it's one of those things where you just have to like cowboy up,
Yeah.
cowgirl up, and be like,
Exactly.
I know this situation is partly my responsibility, but knowing that doesn't change my inability to either accept driving with her or tell her she can't drive down with us. I mean, it is her family. Dear husband doesn't even know the names of most of his cousins, so it makes sense for her to be the priority. And she will love this situation. It's exactly what she always wanted. She'll hang on dear husband's arm and insist they go everywhere together and take walks on the beach and do all kinds of fun things that couples do. Like all the time she hears about dates we've planned and then invites herself along. Only this time I won't be there. Any thoughts about it? And we have an update. Any thoughts, Angie?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, like we were saying, definitely self-sabotaging. And I think you know that. I mean, she seems to know that like this is kind of her fault, but it kind of just seems like really what's happening is that she just doesn't want to go. Like it's I feel like it's not just
The mother.
the drive.
The mother-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah, she just doesn't. She's not going to want to be there. I think really she's probably just upset that she's going at all, and this is kind of like a way out in a way, and she like knows that this doesn't totally make sense, but at the same time it's just like there's not a solution that she's happy with. So
Update. There are a few things I was not clear on in the original post. Let me clarify. The wedding is 2+ hours from the closest airport, and flying plus renting a car are not in the budget for this. Neither is buying a plane ticket for mother-in-law. When I said dear husband is not really close to the cousin getting married, that was an understatement. They've never met. He knows of her existence, but nothing else. Didn't even recognize the name on the invite until I looked up who the parents were. So it might be more accurate to say that dear husband and this cousin are total strangers. When dear husband initially got the invite, he wanted to go with our kids as a family on a beach vacation, until I explained that you never take a 3-year-old to a wedding unless explicitly invited to do so. Then he thought we would turn it into a couple's getaway. I told him I felt a little odd going to a wedding when neither of us know the couple, but he said it was a great excuse to get a babysitter and enjoy some beach time. Dear husband had a great time reconnecting with his family at his father's funeral, and I think in his head this wedding would be just like that. But as it turns out, no one he knows is going. Even the one aunt he thought for sure would be there has confirmed that she's not going. He was excited because he knows all his siblings are invited, and I think he took it for granted that some of them would go. But they've all confirmed they aren't going. It's a remote destination wedding, so I think that might have been the bride and groom's plan all along. Invite the whole huge extended family, every cousin you have ever met, knowing that very few, if any, will actually show up. But some of them will at least send gifts. I asked him if connecting with family is the main reason he wants to go. He said the main reason he wants to go is for a family beach vacation. Then don't go to this wedding, go somewhere else where it's a lot easier and your mother doesn't have to go. If that's really your reason to go and not celebrate this couple for their wedding, just don't go because no one else is going and go somewhere else.
yeah, it sounds like both of these people just
I'm sorry, that's a really stupid reason to be like, yeah, I want to go to this destination for to this wedding because we're invited to the wedding, but I just want to go for the beach vacation and not go to the wedding.
It sounds like they're really operating off of a lot of traditional like niceties, I guess, and like trying to be polite with like, oh, but like the daughter-in-law can't like tell the mother-in-law to like not drive, or like, oh, but like people usually don't bring 3-year-olds to a wedding, but it's my family, it's a wedding, all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
When I pointed out that his family is not going on this family beach vacation, he looked suddenly confused and said, oh, I guess that's true. I wonder if maybe I shouldn't even go, which is odd because I'm also wondering that. Given that neither dear husband nor I knew the happy couple in the slightest, and given that no one else knows is going to the wedding except his mother, I'm not interested anymore. If I want to go on a weekend beach getaway with dear husband, shouldn't we just go on a different day to a different beach? For this particular situation, I'd rather just stay home, even if dear husband decides to go with his mom for whatever reasons. Also, that bride would probably be happier with a donation to their honeymoon fund rather than having to pay for my dinner at her reception when she has no idea who I am. Neither of us is clear why he's still thinking about going, honestly. If I ask him, I won't get a sensible answer yet. He needs time to work all the implications out in his head before he explains it to me. Much though I dislike my mother-in-law, and as many times as she has hurt me in the years I've known her, I still do not want to be the one who tells an almost 70-year-old woman she can't carpool to an event that is far away from us. Especially, she's the only one among us who has actually met the bride. I just don't want to be that person, even if many people would understand that she's difficult. By the way, we're never difficult. You can just go listen to full episodes with stories just like this one. Go to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and search OK Storytime.
Super easy.
I think we're at like 71 to 72 days right now.
Probably.
We're
At least.
and counting.
Yep.
There's a little bit left.
Yeah.
It's you know that Friends episode when he's learning French and she's like
yeah.
she's like je m'appelle.
Yeah.
and
He's like, me poo poo.
Yeah, exactly. This is what it is. This is exactly what it is. He's like, so you want to go to the wedding for a beach? You want to go to the
Right.
wedding for a beach vacation?
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels like these people are coming to therapy and we are the qualified therapists, and then they're solving all their problems for each other. Like they are working through this problem on their own while talking about it on Reddit, and I think we don't need to be here.
It's like, so you want to go to the wedding? Yes. You want to go to the beach
Yeah.
for a vacation? Yes.
Right.
Do you want to go to the beach for the vacation?
Yeah.
Not for their wedding. What?
Yeah. I think you guys are all, I think you're figuring it out. I don't think you need Reddit's opinion on this.
Yeah. So as of now, dear husband is still thinking about it, but he says it's very unlikely that he will go, and I'm leaving it at that. I've made my peace with it. I don't want to go because the cost of the weekend getaway is just too high for me personally. If he still wants to go, that's his decision. He is the one who has to handle 10 plus hours in the car with his mother, then a weekend being her companion to all the events where he will know absolutely no one else. Mother-in-law will probably act in ways that make me uncomfortable and try to use it as a way to relive certain aspects of her past. The same reason she tries to invite herself on dates with us. And I will definitely point out to dear husband how uncomfortable that makes me and that he is allowing it to happen. This isn't something that is just happening to him. He is choosing to allow his mother to use him as a substitute companion, and that affects our relationship. That's the main thing of this story.
Yeah.
You need to tell him, I get it, you set your boundaries with her, but you really need to set boundaries with her. I know you guys are
Yeah.
grieving and it's a lot, but
Right.
she needs to understand that that is life.
Yeah. It's imposing on their relationship now. So
Yeah. If he does go, I'll get a massage and spend some time with my sister. And that is the end of that story.
My future sister-in-law's mother mocked our family, but I couldn't tell anyone.
Tell everybody.
And this is coming directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Honestly, it's exactly how the title reads, and it really sucks because I'm technically not even legally in the family yet. So I have no clue what to do, and I don't think I should be doing anything. I did tell my partner, though, who is the eldest sibling. The groom was their brother and the middle child. By the way, this comes from Vitty Kitty 710, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Keon.
And we try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, please let us know what you would do in the comments. But OP says, I had previously heard things about the bride, my future sister-in-law's mother. Apparently, she kind of competed with my partner's mother because my partner's brother just had a child about 2 to 3 years ago, and she's been butting heads with my partner's mother, trying to prove who's the better grandmother. She's the one that has more money, so she thinks that she can provide more. They even bought a house for them. I have nothing against this. It's honestly something really good and sentimental for them. A house is a big thing for a new family, and I respect that. However, apparently she's dropped other subtle things in the past that I can't remember. Anyway, on to the actual story. After a little bit of background that I knew about her, they decided to have a wedding outside at a waterfall at a national park to say some vows, eat some food, and spend some quality time with close family and get to know some of the direct in-laws. I think I had only met her one other time, and it was when she showed up to the grandmother's wake. I should also add that their grandmother had passed away last year, my partners and the grooms, and many years before that, they had lost their grandfather. When they planned the ceremony, they decided to have a picture of their grandmother and grandfather at the wedding with them because they were not there to physically attend. Me and my partner, their mother and sister, thought it was extremely sentimental and beautiful. We were going to ride from my partner's cousins, who they were really close with, and were raised together as if they were siblings at times. While everybody was getting ready, the groom, bride, and our side of the family were helping get the flowers and things like that from one car, while the bride's mother, stepfather, and I think some other siblings of the bride were getting the food out. Well, right before they went to get the food out of the car, I don't know why, but the mother decided to ask her daughter, the bride, if she really wanted this photo in the wedding. She looked at her honestly, offended, and said, "Yes, of course I want it in the wedding." To my surprise, the mother rolled her eyes and then went back to the car to help the stepfather unload the food. While she was back there, I happened to overhear something that I swear word for word was, "It's so weird to be so sentimental over a picture." And then she laughed with her new husband and these other adults. They all were laughing. I couldn't tell exactly all of their tones, but her tone sounded like she thought it was funny. This made my blood boil. I had known the grandmother personally before she passed away. I ended up crying really hard, and I don't like to cry, especially around my partner's family. After that, I started actually opening up to their family more because before I was so scared due to my own trauma from my family that I felt I was going to be outcasted the same way, and I unfortunately avoided them for the longest time. That's why I only got to spend like a year or two with their grandmother and getting to know them. However, I reminded myself that I am not even technically an in-law yet and started to have extreme anxiety over it, realizing that if I said something, I would be the one ruining everything, especially if her mother denied it. I didn't want to ruin a beautiful day with her already acting like that, and her daughter knowing that she was going to be annoying. The daughter and bride even said at some point something along the lines of, "God, everything's got to be about her," under her breath as her mother was walking away. I kept my mouth shut the entire time. It was to the point that my partner was even checking in on me a few times to make sure I was okay. I told them I was each time, even though I kind of wasn't. It was better to tell them that than to say what actually happened and have some sort of fight break out. I also kept my mouth shut on the way home because I didn't want to upset the person driving us. I don't know why I tend to be like this anyway. I'm unfortunately extremely passive due to trauma. When we got home, I told my partner and they got really mad. They said they weren't in a good mood anymore because of that, but did say that it was a good thing I didn't say anything because they would have possibly said or done something, and our cousin might have too.
Why
I
are we
feel like-
laughing at pictures?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't understand why all of those people were acting like that, but I definitely do think it was the best move to not
yeah.
bring that up.
We didn't need that in the moment.
No, it's like if you're like, I don't know, like at a birthday party and you overhear someone at the birthday party being like, "Ugh, they look so ugly," about the birthday person. You
I
don't
don't
need
think
to go.
I'd ever bring that up.
No, I don't think you ever have to be like, "Yeah, that's like a
bad
really
person."
sucky thing to say."
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if maybe I should have said something at least in the car on the way home. However, I also have ADHD, undiagnosed autism, and auditory processing disorder. I realized that I did end up shooting her a dirty look because she looked towards me. We made eye contact for a moment, and I just shook my head with a disappointed face. Even with this subtle action alone, I'm wondering and hoping it didn't seem like I was being rude in any way.
I think you probably just confused her.
Yeah, she's like, "What's going on? What?" I only did that because I didn't know what else to do. And she looked my way while I was in a state of disappointment and containing my anger. This is kind of unrelated, but I wanted to mention it for context. I love my partner and I wish we could have had our own wedding, but we can't due to legal and financial reasons. We are both on disability and they would have cut our benefits if we were to get married. And we cannot afford that loss. I also have concerns about my own family situation since I literally only have my 2 younger siblings and I don't know if they would be able to attend because their father is manipulative and controlling. They told me today that they wish we could do something like this one day. I want to wait until my siblings are allowed to make choices for themselves, which will be only 2 years for one of my siblings, but my other sibling is 13. They have been my rock and my world. They were my world until I met my partner. Then they became part of my world together. They were also my very first supporters when I came out as trans, and they were the first ones to accept me as a man. They both even started calling me Big Brother. That's lovely. That's awesome.
Love a supportive family.
Yeah.
Unlike this mother-in-law.
Unlike this sucky mother-in-law. I'm so grateful for them and love them so much that not having them present at a wedding would honestly hurt me and probably hurt them too. But anyway, back to the actual situation. My partner and I talked about it. I told them that honestly, the best thing would probably be to tell the groom and bride when we hang out with them next, because they want to see us before the end of the month. They'll be moving to Texas from Washington State into the house that the bride's parents bought. I asked if they wanted me to bring it up to the groom to have it be a man-to-man conversation, brother to brother. But they think it would be best if they handle it since they're siblings. I agreed, mainly because I didn't really want to talk to them about this. And I feel like I don't have the complete right to speak on it. I feel like I at least don't have the right to call that out directly. I personally think that they should address this because if not, who's to know if she's going to respect other family members later on? Not only that, but their mother also just got diagnosed with a fatal condition that might only give her 5 years. With this kind of attitude, who's to say that the bride's mother even cares about her? Especially when she's already competed with her and tried to make her feel lesser by trying to be the better grandmother. I also feel like it's unfair to their mother for them to be moving this quickly since she's only been a grandmother for 1 year. For some reason, the bride and groom have stated multiple times that they only want the grandparents watching their child. They don't even feel comfortable with their siblings watching him? That's weird. That feels strange.
It was a little weird, but yeah, their choice, I guess.
Yeah. We offered to watch him multiple times. I even got an entire diaper bag and a pack and play ready for him. But the pack and play didn't really ever get used until I offered to give it to their mom. The formula that I kept for emergencies was only used when they ran out and texted asking if we had any. Then they would just drive over, pick it up, and leave. I genuinely care about them and their kid and hope for the best for them, even if we disagree with some of their choices. They're their choices because it's their life and their kid. We made sure to give them a card and I gave them some crystals, hoping for good vibes for their marriage. I got their child a little play phone because he likes playing with people's smartphones. It's just a little plastic brick that has some buttons and makes noises. He's about 3 and has just started to learn how to run. By the way, you should run towards full episode stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left, but do you have any final thoughts? I can also give my final thoughts.
No, I'm picturing a cute little 3-year-old
Yeah.
learning to run. Yeah, I mean, like, they can sort it out themselves. I don't think you ever really needed to say anything.
I
I think
agree.
if it's
I
gonna
feel
give
like
you the peace of mind,
Sure.
then sure. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it sounds like mother-in-law just kind of sucks.
And I feel like they probably know. Because there's no
I'm
way.
sure they know. I can't
if the
imagine
mother-in-law
that
is
she
that
didn't
obvious.
make a direct comment
No
to
way,
her.
yeah.
Or that it doesn't come back that she also heard it.
Exactly. I think they know and they're just trying to put up with mother-in-law because mother-in-law is giving them a house
Yeah.
and providing a lot of money. And when you have a new kid, that's pretty
So it could
helpful.
end up being like oh yeah, we know she sucks.
Yeah.
We can talk about it now, I guess, because you also
Yeah.
know. But other than that, like,
So I don't think you need to, but I don't think it'll.
I think it's fine that you
hurts.
do.
I don't think it's honestly going to start a fight. I think they're going
Yeah.
to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
she sucks. I'm looking for advice on how to not let this eat at me, and also how can I support my partner in communicating this to them since I was the one that ended up hearing it. I want to be a good boyfriend and also an unofficial uncle-in-law. That's also why I can't help but be upset about this. The last few months, they just started calling me uncle to their kid, which made me smile real big. I couldn't help but cry happy tears when I got home thinking about how I get to be an uncle now. I will miss the little booger, and I'll miss spending time with my now unofficial brother-in-law and sister-in-law, their dog, and their cats. Yes, they have animals, and that's literally what we used to do, doggy play dates. It wasn't too often, but it was really fun. And that's the end of that story. I think
Yeah.
you are overthinking it just a little bit,
I think you're overthinking it a lot, but you're handling it fine.
but it's okay. I think
Yeah.
you're talking to them, and it's going to be all right. So don't worry about it too much.
chilling.
I
Yeah,
think
no
they probably
peace.
know that the mother-in-law sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Opie's one of our own, so we want the
Yeah.
best
Oh,
for you.
We
yeah.
love you.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
My boyfriend stood up to my father. Now my parents are getting divorced. My father is the classic misogynistic golden child a-hole. His parents pretty much worshipped him and ruined him to the point where my aunts and uncles have cut him and us out of their lives. Last time I saw them was when my little sister was born. He runs his own company, so I think it's pretty safe to say that he has never heard the word no in his life. By the way, this comes from Kayla is here, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, Mom, little sister, who's 17, and myself, female 28, were essentially his servants. He would sit in his chair, drink adult soda, and order us around, scream and yell at us. Mom was afraid of him, sis and myself too. Plus, we grew up that way, and all three of us hated it. I've begged my mom to divorce him for years, but she didn't want to because she didn't want to share custody with him and leave us. And later, just sis, to be treated like crap when we would have to go to him. I absolutely understand why she didn't and appreciate her wanting to protect us, even if I didn't agree with her method. That all changed December 24th, not right before Christmas. My boyfriend, 32, and I have been together for 1.5 years, roughly. So this was our first Christmas where we celebrated together. Small note on boyfriend, he is not afraid of anyone and hates disrespect with a passion. We walk into my parents' house and dad is in his chair while mom is working on dinner in the kitchen. Boyfriend goes to mom to greet her and complimented her on the decorations. Massive smile from mom, and he greeted dad second. That pissed off dad, but boyfriend has always greeted my mom first unless dad is significantly closer to him. Dad has complained to me about it because he is the man of the house and should be greeted first and more BS like that. My boyfriend has told me that this is how he was raised by an amazing woman, single mom of 2, older sister and him, and he's not changing anything, and I don't see why he should. Boyfriend took an interest in mom's cooking, which smelled amazing, and I saw mom light up like I have not seen before. Answering questions, explaining things, sharing tips between them. He is a really good cook too. Absolutely lovely to see. We sat down in the living room. Sis came downstairs and joined us. Had a great time together and pretty much ignored dad, who was glued to the TV as usual. My mom asked if anyone wanted something to drink, and boyfriend jumped up and said, "You've worked hard on the food. It's your time to relax. I'll get it." And he took our order and went into the kitchen. Dad wanted adult soda. Boyfriend asked him what adult soda he wanted since there are a lot of different ones in the fridge, and dad said in an angry tone, "Just grab one, I don't care." Boyfriend comes back with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses for mom and myself in one hand, and sister's drink in the other. Went back into the kitchen to grab the adult soda and his own drink. Put the adult soda on the table in front of dad. Dad stands up and yells, "That's it! I will not be disrespected like this in my own house." Mom, sis, and me just shrunk, but boyfriend turned around and said, "I asked what adult soda you wanted, and you said just grab one. What's the problem?" Dad, "It's not about the adult soda. I got served last in my own house. You will not disrespect me like that." Boyfriend, "First off, I got served last. In fact, I've not even put my drink down. And what did you want me to do? Did you want me to," he actually did air quotes for this, "disrespect your wife or your daughters instead? I have 2 hands. Both were full." And he turned around and sat down. Dad tried to respond, but just stuttered and pretty much ran upstairs. Boyfriend continued the conversation like nothing happened until dad slammed the door. And boyfriend said, "Well, that door is shut," and broke the tension, and we laughed.
Aw, it's so
Dude,
cute.
this is an amazing guy.
He's got a crush on you. Aw.
Aww.
Oh, he's got a crush on you, little cuck dad sitting in the cuck chair. He's got a crush on you.
It was crazy, dude. Awesome of this boyfriend. That was amazing responses. It's like, yeah, well, do you why do you want me to admit that you want me to disrespect your wife?
Yeah.
Admit that. It was like that was the moment that something changed for my mom. A bit later, we sat down for dinner. I went to get dad and told him that dinner was ready, and he snarled, "I'm not coming." We used to beg him to come down. Not the first time he's pulled this stunt. But after seeing boyfriend stand up to him, I just said, "Okay," and went back down. We had an amazing dinner with mom, boyfriend, sis, and myself. Afterwards, we sat down in the living room for gifts. Mom went up to get dad again and came back down not even 30 seconds later and sat on the floor with us to open the gifts. We had so much fun opening the gifts, laughing, drinking, throwing wrapping paper at each other, just having fun without a care in the world, which I've never seen mom do. Hours later, boyfriend and I were heading back home. Mom pulled us both in for a massive hug. Seriously, massive mom hugs are something else. And thanked us for the best Christmas she has had in years. Oh my gosh.
I forgot that the context was also that the dad's trying to ruin Christmas.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
It's like he's literally the Grinch. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to slam this door and take away Christmas." And they're like, "Fahu Doris, dude. Like,
Yeah.
We're good. We're
This is-
freaking good."
This is like the perfect example of you end up being like, this is all I have, and then like someone just shows up and you're like, oh, I can divorce my husband because he's a horrible,
Yeah.
abysmal, miserable man.
This is amazing. OP and this
Cool.
boyfriend can never break up now.
Yeah.
They have to work out. While driving home, sis texted me a picture of her and mom on the floor watching a movie surrounded by a mess, which is weird because mom always had to clean and keep everything perfect, or dad would yell and call her or us lazy. But mom was cleaning it tomorrow. Hell yes, mom. That all leads to today. Mom called and asked if her and sis could come over to discuss something. They arrived, and wow, mom has had simple mid-black hair, no color, no flavor, just as simple as possible for as long as I've been alive. But now, shoulder-length bob with some lowlights, absolutely stunning. All the sadness and fear on her face gone. Still mom, but an absolutely gorgeous version of mom. She told us that she's going to see a divorce lawyer on the 9th and will try to find a place and move out as soon as possible. After a long discussion on how she wants to do everything, we asked her why now. And she said, and I'm proud and so effing happy that she said this, at Christmas, something changed for me. To see boyfriend's name stand up to dad like that, and the way boyfriend always treats you, your sister, and me with so much love and respect. Boyfriend actually treats me like I'm my own person, and I've not felt like that in a long time with you two. I'm mom, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love being mom for you two, but I'm more than just mom. I was either mom or dad's wife, which is true. He would always introduce her as my wife, a name, never name, my wife. Might not seem like a big deal, but to her, it is and was. And I think it would be a really big deal if you went over to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime, because you're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. There is a little bit more to the story, but I am just smiling through this thing. This is great.
This is great. This is good news.
Yeah. She got the breakup haircut already. She's smiling. She's not cleaning. This all changed so fast and so easily.
Dad's upstairs in his room like, it isn't happening.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come out of my room until you say you're not divorcing me.
Yeah. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. I have not been the mom's actual name, not just mom, in a long time. I've had enough. I'm not letting him treat me like this anymore. I'm not in love with him anymore. In fact, I haven't been in love for a very long time. I don't even have love for him anymore. But sis is old enough now, and with the two of you and boyfriend's name with me, I can do it. Oh, I'm so damn proud of my mom for standing up for herself now. I'm so damn happy that my boyfriend was able to make her feel like her own person again when he didn't even try. I'm so damn happy that mom and sis and myself never have to be treated like crap by that man again. I am just so effing happy. This is amazing.
We have enough comments.
That is the end of that story.
Go mom, divorce your stinky ex-husband.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I won't be disrespected in my house. Like, are you sure about that?
Yeah, it's like, well, what are you going to do?
Are you sure?
All you're going to do is slam some doors.
Are you sure?
And leave us. That's kind of what we want. He
slams the door and goes, well, that door's closed. He's literally crushing it.
He's crushing it.
In the living room, and dad's upstairs like, oh.
Dude. For real. It's like, what? We're supposed to come beg you to come downstairs like we always do? We don't want you. We don't want you.
Then he comes down anyway and sits on the floor like a petulant child, like, fine.
Yeah. You can't even do that.
My girlfriend's mother has a key to our apartment. I want to take it back.
Taking back what's mine.
My girlfriend's mom visited a few weeks ago, and we lent her our guest set of keys because she stayed the weekend, and we did not want her to be stuck outside of the apartment if we were out. We were both in post-bac programs with crazy hours. We made it very clear we needed the keys back after she left because they were specifically our guest keys. By the way, this comes from Classroom Swimming 14-1, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So on Monday, before we left for school, she made a big show about how she was putting the keys back into our key bowl. It wasn't like she was mean or aggressive or anything, but the way she was saying it felt like she was trying to guilt us into letting her keep the keys. She was like, oh, I think I'll get my hair done today. How will I get back to the apartment, etc. We doubled down on keeping the keys, but said she can use them until she leaves, and just to drop them in the bowl when she left for good. Anyway, she calls me in the middle of the school day asking where the keys were. I explain exactly where they were step by step. Seemingly, she forgot that she put them in the key bowl. Then, after like 5 minutes of that, she said she couldn't find them and she was just going to leave the apartment. I was like, all right, let me know if you need anything. Then suddenly, she was like, oh, I think I found them. But after I reiterated what my partner and I wanted, she reaffirmed that she was not going to take the keys, almost forcing the idea down my throat. We say our goodbyes. The phone call ended. I got a really weird vibes about the situation, but thought nothing of it. I let my partner know on the way home from school about it. She was kind of dismissive of the vibes I got, more worried that she left the apartment completely unlocked. We went home and saw that the apartment was left unlocked. Just the basic lock was engaged and none of the deadlocks that required keys. So we figured she left the keys. The next day, my partner is talking to her mom and she casually mentions, oh, I think I took the apartment keys. Then started saying stuff like, oh, I must have dropped them in my purse. And the one that really got me was, oh, that must be why I couldn't find them. Obviously, I was eternally freaking out after she said that because it directly conflicted with the story I heard from her when I was alone. When she was done talking to her mom, I was kind of freaked out and made it known exactly how I felt and what I thought she was doing. She kind of dismissed everything I said and said that her mom was dumb and ditzy and that she was incapable of scheming. She later promised that she would go to her mom's house to pick them up because I was freaked out in the invasion of privacy and even told her that if she comes back with a new set of keys, it would be a problem. That's when I found out that there is some special card that needs to be used to copy the key. Otherwise, it would be illegal. We talked about it again a few weeks later with some of our mutual friends over drinks, and they were kind of acting like I'm crazy. But one was like, it's understandable because that is something my mom would do. Now she visited again about 2 months later, this time saying she was going to stay with one of her friends for the weekend. My partner planned to have dinner with her, but she got home a bit late. In preparation for the dinner, and after my showers, I like to air dry, I guess, on the bed. I hear someone come in the door and assume it's my partner. I thought it was weird that she didn't come in to say hi to me, but either way, my very smart cat cracks the door open to say hi. I walk out to hang my towel on the bathroom, completely unclothed, mind you, and get dressed. Then I go to the living room to say hi, thinking it was my partner, but it was in fact my partner's mother. I crap you not, the first word that comes out of her mouth was, I thought I was alone. I'm internally freaking out, but decided to stay because I'm mad sussed out at this point and didn't want her going through our stuff. She says she made a copy of the keys and that she put our set back. When my partner got home, she repeated the same lines but added that the locksmith liked her. So she was able to get a copy without the special card because my partner was sussed out about the legality of copying the key.
Stop it.
Eventually, my partner admitted I was right, but doesn't seem to be creeped out at all by it. To add to this, the landlord is my partner's father and my partner's mother's ex, who apparently went through a vicious divorce that took years to resolve, and it still triggers my partner to this day. To add to it, she started asking about how much we pay for utilities and asked to get an apartment with us offhandedly a few months ago. I'm like ready to ask the landlord to change all the locks and cut off from her as much as humanly possible, but it feels like I'm alone in what feels like a serious invasion of privacy. All right, comment number 1. Huge girlfriend problem. Her mother stole your key, a key that legally should not have been copied. Then she entered your apartment without permission and even admitted that she thought she was alone. Why was she there? You need to replace the doorknob with a special keypad that alerts your phone anytime the door is opened. Each person has their own code. You can deactivate any code from your phone, and if you are the one setting up the lock, then you are the only one who can assign a code or deactivate them. You already have her mother hinting that she wants to move in with you, so it's way past time to have an in-depth conversation with your girlfriend about your shared vision for your future and what's appropriate for visitors and overnight guests. Also address the future scenarios where a parent might need financial assistance or a place to stay. Will it be your house? Figure all this out and get her thoughts on her family and their expectations, as they might not align with yours, and you need to know this sooner rather than later. The fact that her mother literally broke into your house without warning and felt entitled to do so is a huge red flag. Her daughter is not thinking it's a big deal is an even bigger red flag. Do we agree with that? Maybe it's just like, it's my mom, whatever. Okay.
Well, it's weird because, I mean, the girlfriend is kind of like, yeah, like, I get it. This, like, is an invasion of privacy, but she's not really doing much about it. That's the only difference, it seems.
Another reply says, or OP could just break up with his girlfriend and save himself a lot of stress and angst. Given that the girlfriend doesn't think that her mother's behavior is problematic, why exactly do you think a conversation with her would make a difference? We got an update here. My partner and her mom talked about how at the end of the day, the apartment is her father's property, also mother's ex-husband. It is sketchy that she went out of her way to make an illegal copy and did not ask for permission to enter. When they were back from their walk, she made up separate excuses to each of us about why she was in the apartment. She texted my girlfriend that she had to pee as one excuse, while my girlfriend admitted that the last text she got was that she was on her way and did not get any info about her entering the apartment.
Yeah.
Then she tried appealing to me, saying next time she would let us both know, even though neither of us knew. After that, she said something like she wasn't trying to ruin our lives and that I should have talked to her about it. I'm kind of glad I didn't, though, because it would have ended badly for everyone. And I'm happy my partner came around to getting the keys back and working on securing the apartment. And you can secure your next freaking crazy story by going to your freaking favorite podcast platform on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple, searching up OK Storytime for absolutely crazy stories just like this one. We got a little bit left here. Angie, Sophia, any thoughts left here?
We gotta change locks, man.
Change locks, change girlfriends?
Because change girlfriends does automatically change, future mother-in-law.
Kind of a two birds, one stone.
Getting to the last little bit here. One thing that threw me off, though, is as she was talking about the keys, which we are now placed on our coffee table, she keeps repeating that this is a trial run of not having the keys. I could tell my partner was uncomfortable about that part, but I'm not sure if she will bend again in the future. One key was made with a blank from the key company, which is high security, requiring a card certifying permission, but it did not have a serial number. And the other one, which is less secure key from the same brand, was made on a master lock key, also not traceable. The locksmith stupidly cut the low security key with their company name and phone number on it, so you bet they are getting reported. My partner also does not want to change the locks because the keys are back in our possession, but we will be setting up a camera. Wow, I like this. I like these steps. I'm not a big fan of cameras being around.
Really?
I don't know. If it's like if it's this camera I can control, yes, I don't mind that camera. But if Ring's a part of it and someone can log into my app and see who's coming in and out.
Oh. Interesting. I never thought about that before.
I accidentally told my mother my baby's gender. Now my life is in chaos.
Baby gender reveals never go good.
For a little background, my husband, 29 male, and I, 24 female, are having our first baby this spring. December, we had our anatomy scan, which is the ultrasound where they measure baby and all the organs to check if baby will survive outside my body, and where you can find out the gender. Thankfully, the scan came perfectly, and we were thrilled to find out we were having a girl. By the way, this comes from user Adriat for Life, and my name is Keon. That's Carly,
Hey.
and that's
I'm Sophia.
my mother-in-law has been passing away to find out the gender of her first grandbaby, but my husband told me she's old-fashioned and would prefer we tell her in person rather than through text. My mom and bio-dad didn't care how they found out. The appointment was Wednesday, and we had a family gathering at mother-in-law's house that Saturday. Since I was still exhausted and my husband didn't want to tell his mom without me present, we agreed to wait until Saturday. I was really excited about the gender and wanted to tell someone, so I texted my mom with strict instructions that no one else knew yet and she should keep quiet. She agreed. Big mistake. On Thursday, I posted on the Blue, letting friends know that the anatomy scan went great and that I'd update everyone on the gender Saturday afternoon. I added our initial guesses and asked people to comment with their prediction. That's when all heck broke loose. When you entrust someone with a secret, you expect them to pretend they know nothing. Instead, she commented on my post, essentially rubbing in people's faces that she knew. I know the gender of the baby, but I know I'm not allowed to tell anyone, so I'll respect that. I was in a meeting with no signal when she posted it. I left the building. I was greeted by a text from my mother-in-law, upset that my mom knew the gender and she didn't. I explained we were planning to tell her in person Saturday, that I hadn't felt up to a phone call. She refused to listen and began demanding I tell her the gender right then over text. When I showed my husband, bless his soul, he told me not to give in to her demands. She could wait until Saturday. The following Friday, my mom and stepdad were moving across the country for his job. I stopped by to help and told my mom that when I said not to tell anyone, I also meant not to tell people that she knew. Maybe I was assuming too much, but I thought that was obvious. She apologized and I accepted it. However, later that day, she asked if we had a name picked out. I said we had a first name, but not a middle name yet. She asked me to tell her, and I said, no. We weren't announcing the name until after the baby is born. She seemed to drop it until she asked again. I repeated my answer. No. The next day, when my husband and I stopped by, she asked about the name again. Right before we left, and she said, again. At that point, I was done. My pregnancy brain makes me struggle with words, especially when I need them most. What I meant to say was, the last time we shared important information, it leaked that someone knew about it. We don't want that to happen again. Instead, what came out was, sorry, but you kind of broke my trust, which, honestly, I did feel like did break my trust. Went home, and my mom stopped talking to me for a week. She finally called and absolutely flipped out at me for saying she'd broken my trust. She claimed that me saying that compared her to her ex-husband, my bio dad, who had cheated on her multiple times. She also said if I told her we didn't want to share the name, she would have accepted it and not asked again.
You
which
said it.
you did.
4 or 5 times.
She literally asked me 3 times after I initially said no. Continuing to ask after being told no is not accepting the answer. To top it all off, she chastised me about not telling my mother-in-law the gender at the same time I told her, even though I explained the full story. When I initially told my mom about mother-in-law's demanding behavior, she replied, good for him. You don't get to play victim and lie about this when it's convenient. Then came the cherry on top. She threatened to go no contact with me and said she'd been planning to move across the country and never talk to me again over this. As I tried to talk, she kept arguing over me. I finally said, Mom, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I was trying to add, I expect us to handle this calmly like adults. But she cut me off and said, if you hang up on me, that's it. I'm done. I'll never talk to you again, even though she hadn't let me finish. My phone was on the lowest volume, but my husband could still hear every word from the next seat because she was screaming that loudly. His jaw was on the floor. After I got her calmed down, he said, is it bad that I'm suddenly glad she's moving across the country? My mom thinks we all worked it all out and has been texting like nothing happened. I've only answered necessary text because I honestly don't want to talk to her right now. Part of me never wants to talk to her again. The way she flipped out was so immature. I'm starting to be thankful she and my bio dad divorced. He's learned from his mistakes and cleaned up his life. He's a good man, and I'm glad he didn't spend the last 19 years with a woman who throws tantrums. That's how I ended up sharing the gender of my unborn granddaughter with my mom first, which created this whole mess. I hope I never treat my daughter the way she treated me. After reading everyone's responses, I'm wondering if I do need to go no contact. Up until now, this was just my mom's behavior that I've dealt with my entire life. But seeing your perspectives made me realize how sad it was that I accepted this as the norm. I decided to reach out to my bio dad for a neutral perspective from someone familiar with my mom's behavior pattern. Fortunately, my mom's beef with my dad is entirely one-sided. He holds grudges while he's long come to peace with their divorce. I'm hoping his perspective will help me decide where to go from here. And we have a second update. We're going straight into it. My papa got back to me and we had a heart-to-heart. He told me my grandma had been a really toxic parent to my mom and her sisters, gaslighting them their entire lives. We see where it came from. Though I think she's mellowed with age, I can totally see the gaslighting, toxicity, and manipulation in my grandma's personality. He said even when he and my mom were married, there was gaslighting and manipulation from her end. Never blamed her because he knew it was how she was raised, but that wasn't the cause of their problems in their marriage. He told me stories of manipulative things my mom did after the divorce that left me surprised, but also unsurprised. Things I could 100% see her doing. My first question was whether I'd ever shown signs of gaslighting and manipulation. Thankfully, he said no. He hated that I was raised in that environment, but I was glad I was finally seeing it so I could break the cycle with my baby girl. His advice included 4 options. Option uno, suck it up and pretend it never happened like my mom's doing. He didn't recommend this, having seen how it took a toll on my mom when she did this with my grandma. It's like, all right, let's see the other options, and then we go. Option number 2, talk to my mom and tell her something did happen and we need to discuss it. Both agreed this would just result in her victimizing herself and ignoring how her actions affected me. Option 3, continue what I've been doing, only answering necessary texts and telling her I need space if she notices our relationship has changed. He recommended this option. And option number 4, go no contact, but he emphasized it doesn't have to be forever. He very much did not recommend permanent no contact, reminding me that once my mom passes, my brain will forget the bad things and I'll only remember I lost so much time with my mom. My dad thanked me for reaching out instead of doing something I'd regret. He said if I choose no contact or low contact, I wouldn't be stooping to my mom's level. He reminded me that unborn babies can feel their mother's emotions. If I'm stressed, the baby's stressed. Protecting my feelings ultimately protects the baby's feelings, making me a good mom even before she's born. When my husband got off work, I told him the issue was still bothering me and shared what my dad said. He told me no matter what I choose, he'd back me up. After thinking it over, I decided to go no contact with my mom until my daughter is born so I can hopefully spend this last trimester stress-free. Again, do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Think no contact is the best? Do it. We won't tell her when we're heading to the hospital. She'll learn when the baby's born at the same time as everyone else through our social media. I'm 28 weeks now, and I'm hoping once she's born in 10 to 12 weeks, I'll be healed enough to continue our relationship. I won't stop her and my stepdad from flying out to meet the baby. That would be cruel. And it'll give me a chance to see if I'm ready to move forward. We have a third update. After 3 months of temporary no contact, I gave birth to my beautiful baby girl and decided to let my parents meet her. They flew in and met her at my grandparents' house. I didn't feel comfortable having them in our home, and meeting elsewhere gave us freedom to leave if things went south. The meeting went fine, but things went south later. I had sent a respectful message. My husband confirmed this, expressing that I wanted to be treated as a fellow adult and mother, not as a child. My mother immediately called me controlling. I extended my no contact to process this, and that's when my brain finally let me remember years and years of gaslighting and manipulation from when I was younger. Patterns I guess my mind had protected me from till I or it felt safe to process them. After another 4 months, I sent one final message. The last chance. I laid out exactly what happened, why I was frustrated, and what I needed to move forward. Acknowledgement, willingness to understand why I stepped back, and sincere accountability. I hoped for a reality check, but didn't expect it. Fortunately, my expectations were spot on. My stepdad's response included gems like, "Your mom is just as hurt as you are. It would have been nice if you had extended your trust to her. You sent that message to inflict maximum harm. You purposely carry out hateful behavior. The only way we can repair our relationship is if you apologize to us. Have you asked God if it was okay to ignore our messages? And I expect you to apologize for how you treated us." I was genuinely hoping our relationship could be saved, but it's gone. I immediately blocked them both on all platforms. They are no longer welcome in my life or my daughter's life. My husband can choose whether to keep them on any of the social media, though I ask that if he does, he adjusts privacy settings so they can't see posts about me, baby. Sometimes I fear I was unreasonable, but my husband reassured me that if he thought I was wrong, he would have told me. My daughter will grow up watching how I let people treat me, and I refuse to let her believe that being walked over, especially by those who claim to care, is acceptable. The only way they would have repaired our relationship is if I dropped my boundaries and submitted to them. At least I have closure, knowing I did everything I could. And that, that story. And I agree.
Wow. No, yeah.
There's not much more you can do.
Yeah.
You literally, you flat out told them, hey, this is what I want, and if you can't meet that.
I really wanted the information on how it went with the mother-in-law side of things.
My father is in love with a girl half his age.
He's got to bump his numbers up.
I, male 17, live with my mom, 46, and my brother, 13, and my dad, 50. My relationship with my dad has always been rocky, and he's let me down many times before, but this time feels like the final straw. By the way, this comes from Legitimate Process 90, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley. I'm Dakota.
And OP says, last Wednesday, he told us completely out of the blue that he asked my mom for a divorce because he wasn't in love with her anymore and he had feelings for his 21-year-old coworker, Rebecca. For context, she just turned 21. I was furious.
Well, he did the right thing in asking for a divorce first.
At least there's that. At least he's got that. At least he's not Well, we actually don't really know if he's not a cheater. We
I'm going to
don't
give him the
know.
benefit of the doubt.
Dang, Rebecca, girl.
He's old enough to know not to cheat,
Yeah.
but not old enough to know
How old he's
21
supposed
is
to date.
way too young.
It's half your age plus 7, everyone.
My parents have been together since 2003. Their relationship has had issues, but this was still shocking. What made it even weirder was how impulsive and unlike him it was. He left the house the next day after non-stop fighting, packed his stuff into our car, and went to sleep in a parking lot. The car and the house are both in my mom's name, and he only had $18 in his personal bank account when he left. Then the next morning, he suddenly came back saying he felt like he was in a trance, that the fog had lifted, and that he had made a huge mistake. Bummer. Did maybe the 21-year-old realize that dating a 50-year-old man who has less money than how old she is was a mistake?
There we go. I knew you were going to mention the money part.
Yeah.
See, if he had a lot more money, it would have been totally fine.
He begged for another chance. My mom thinks he was genuinely delusional and believes it may be tied to his health.
Oh, then you better go take him to a doctor and prove him wrong.
He had a severe case of West Nile virus in 2021 that caused lasting neurological issues and personality changes. Yeah, look into that.
We got to start looking into the West Nile virus.
She is choosing to forgive him and is letting him stay. I don't buy it. I think he only came crawling back because the fantasy he built in his head wasn't actually going to work. My mom is the sole breadwinner and has supported us our entire lives. My dad has a part-time job as a pizza delivery man. However, his money is only used for his stuff, cigs, gas, etc. I think he realized he blew up his entire life for a girl half his age who didn't actually want him. And now he's trying to do damage control. Yeah, I think that's probably the more likely than the West Nile virus.
Yeah.
He's been trying to talk to me, apologizing, saying he loves me and wants to fix things. I'm ignoring him completely. I feel guilty sometimes, but I can tell it hurts him. But I honestly don't think I can forgive him. Yeah, I mean, at least not this year.
Yeah, no.
At least give yourself a minute. This situation is just the most recent in a long pattern of disappointment and selfishness. My mom respects my decision, but she clearly hopes I'll try to work on my relationship with him again. I'm not interested. I still live at home for another year before college, so I'm just planning on avoiding him completely. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my dad another chance, even though he might have been mentally unwell when he made that decision?
Well,
I don't really believe that he was.
there is a lot of straws that will break the camel's back. In this case, he put a ton of bricks on the camel's back, and that's what broke your relationship.
Yeah,
on top
not
of
your
all the other
fault.
bricks.
You're
so.
17. Your dad cheated on your mom, at least emotionally, said he was leaving, told all of you that he was leaving to go chase this 21-year-old, and then comes back and expects you to just be fine with it?
Yeah.
Like, of course you're not going to be fine with it.
You know, I don't even think he was emotionally cheating. I think he put this all in his head.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't even like, well, at least he was emotionally invested in this girl who may or may not have had emotions for him.
What do you call that? Preemptive
One-sided?
cheating. That's what was happening here.
Comment 1. The 21-year-old probably didn't want him, so he blamed his actions on a trance. Your mom must be really gullible if she believes that story. I'd ignore him too. Comment 2 says, trust is a fragile thing. Once destroyed, it is almost impossible to get back. Your father thinks he can just walk back in and have everything the way it was, and that isn't gonna happen anytime soon. Don't punt yourself. You're not to blame for what happened, and you are under no obligation to forgive and forget. That said, I do think your father's bizarre behavior is due to some health issue. He obviously needs to be seen by a doctor. OP says he has stated he is going to see a new therapist and psychiatrist. He already sees multiple doctors often, as he has a slew of health problems, including a neurologist for the lasting effects of West Nile virus. Comment 3 says, not the a-hole. When someone hurts you, forgiveness is given on your terms, not theirs. That is if you choose to forgive them at all. Remember one thing through all of this: there is nothing wrong if you change your mind about forgiving your father. There's nothing wrong if you don't. Either way, there's no timeline you have to adhere to. Comment 4 says, no 21-year-old is effing a 50-year-old unless he's got money. Everyone knows this. Broke boy is delusional. Your mom's a doormat for letting him back in. Tell her she can do better. A part-time pizza delivery driver that doesn't contribute anything to the household? Seriously? Dude acts like he's another teenager for her to mother. Why is she putting up with any of this in the first place? It would be cheaper if she didn't have him to feed as well, and it's not like she needs childcare for the kids anymore either. You're all teen. What a useless effing loser he is. And there is an update, but
Oh, boy.
dang, that commenter read him.
So wait,
Hoo-wee.
was he he'd never had like a real job? Was he just doing that, or
that
was
is
that after
unclear.
the West Nile virus?
Well, if
It's
he,
unclear.
yeah,
We didn't get his prior job.
I'm assuming he didn't have a job if he only had $20 in his bank account.
Fast forward to my birthday trip. About 2 weeks after the initial situation, we were going to the beach with me, my mom, my brother, and my best friend. My dad was staying home because we have a lot of animals, and it was easier for him to just stay than to pay for them to all be watched.
Yeah, so the 21-year-old could also pet the pets too.
Yikes. I was actually really looking forward to it because it felt like the first time I get a break from all the chaos with my dad. Then my dad decides to drive 7 hours to our Airbnb as some kind of grand gesture. Can you drive 7 hours right back home?
Did he bring a zoo with him?
My mom claims she didn't know he was coming until he called her, well, already 3 hours into the drive, but I don't really buy that. Plan was apparently for him to stay the night, and she had already paid for an extra spot so he could come with us on the boat tour and dinner, so it's hard for me to believe that she had no idea. Here's the punter. She wasn't even planning on telling me. She literally wanted it to be a surprise that he just walked in the door. The only reason I knew was because she brought it up to my best friend, I'll call her Jane, that morning. Mom says she asked Jane if she should tell me, and Jane told her no. But Jane straight up told me all she asked was if she thought I'd be upset, and she said yes. Later on, while we were out, Jane told me what was happening anyway, and that my dad was about an hour away. My mom got pissed at her for telling me. Why are you putting this on OP's other 17-year-old friend? That's very weird. Let's not involve other children into your marital issues. Weird.
I didn't even think of
When
that.
I found out, I was devastated. I had explicitly said I was excited to get away from him this trip, and instead it turned into this whole thing. My mom was mad at me for being upset and kept saying things like, "It's still your dad. You'll have to get over it eventually. And he's trying to show he cares." She even tried to spin it like maybe he was doing it for her to prove he cared about fixing their marriage by showing up for us.
Okay, he was showing up for you
Girl.
guys by taking care of the pets.
Girl, it just feels like Opie's mom is like really delusional, which
Yeah.
is fair because she's had this relationship, for if this is if this is modern day, it's been like over 20 years of marriage.
Yeah, she's probably
Which
very
is really
codependent
tough.
too. Can't see a life without him, so that's why she's giving him another chance.
Yeah, like it's not like she's financially dependent, so like it seems like it probably would be emotional dependent
Ugh.
or dependence. She kept saying, "Well, I feel happy he did it." And I just felt like screaming because this was my birthday, not hers. My mom said he was coming to give me a birthday card, so I was expecting a long, thoughtful written card. He drove 7 hours to hand me a card with 2 sentences in it. "Sorry for what I did. I'll make it up to ya."
At least he acknowledged it.
Yikes.
Sometimes men are a few words, but great with action.
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen either of those from him. That's it. After all that, he stayed for maybe a few minutes, then turned right around and drove all the way back home because I was so upset. There also wasn't even enough room in the Airbnb for him to stay, so they didn't think that through.
Oh, wow.
By the way, you guys should think through listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. And once you've thought it through, realize that you should do it.
Best thing you could ever do for yourself.
I agree. There is a little bit left, but do you have any final thoughts?
This guy's losing it.
He's losing it.
Another crazy thing to do is to drive 7 hours, stay for a
Yeah.
couple of minutes, and then drive another
And
7
then
hours.
leave. You're not gonna get like this
hot
man
dog?
only knows how. Just like a motel. Not
We
gonna
can't.
figure it out.
I'm surprised he had enough money to get
He
gas
doesn't
to
have
get
any
down
money. Yeah.
Oh my
Your dad
gosh.
sucks. Your mom sucks for enabling your dad.
there. And I
And
would
you
also
just
like
wanna
to
have
see.
your birthday.
Yeah, dude, that too. And also, I would like to see the parents' financial situation.
Yeah, I wonder. But there's a little bit left. This was mid-July. I've gone back to talking to my dad normally, but only to keep the peace. I don't want to, but if I start ignoring him again, it'll set my mom off, and I don't have the energy for more fights. So I'm just stuck pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's exhausting to constantly have my boundaries pushed aside, and I genuinely don't get how they think that's supposed to make me forgive him. My parents' relationship seems to be better. I'm only viewing it from the outside, but they've been going on dates, been more touchy-feely, spending more time together. together. If they really did fix things permanently, I'm happy for them. My mom deserves to be happy. However, I feel that him changing his behavior doesn't erase the things he did in the past. I don't feel like I want a close relationship with him ever, even if he's changed. Am I in the wrong to not move on and forgive, even if he has truly changed? Comments. Comment 1. Why do people think that when a parent and a spouse leaves a marriage, they don't leave the child? The mom has never considered that the father walked out on the child's family as well, not just the mom. To be with the 21-year-old person who's probably closer to the child's age than to the mother's age. I know we'd like to tell our young children that no, when mom and dad split up, dad didn't leave you, but the fact is that dad left the family unit, which included the child, so not the a-hole. OP says, yes, she's 4 years older than me and would have been a senior when I was a freshman. So in theory, she could have been my peer.
Oh,
Yucky,
man.
yucky. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole at all, OP. That's just a terrible situation that your dad has put you in, and now your parents are trying to act like you're the problem when they're creating all these problems and expecting you to be, perfect, mature person when they're not acting like adults.
Really weird.
But that's the end of that story.
I had an argument with my mother. Now I'm considering no contact.
You're never gonna see me again.
I'm 40, so there is a lot of history here. Childhood was fine. My mom worked hard to support me and my sister. We moved around a lot, settled with my now stepdad when I was 10. By the way, this comes from user LLEC2025, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And OP says, there were some hurtful things she told me that stand out, such as she didn't want me, my dad did, and then he left when I was 18 months old.
Oof.
She loves me as I'm her daughter, but as a person doesn't like me. I spent most of my 20s trying to buy her affection. We are very different. She's lived in the same town her whole life. Very conservative financially, worked a 9-to-5 job, retired at 53 to take care of my sister's little girl. I moved to America, flitted around for years, and came back to settle in England when I was 30. I met my husband, set up a business, which took off about an hour away. We ended up together, and we bought a house in a nice village an hour away from the city I grew up in. Now I'm married with 2 boys, 5 and 1. This is a huge point of contention. Every conversation is, if you lived closer, I could help with this, I could do this or that, blah, blah, blah. Even though time has shown that space works best for us. The closer we are, the more we argue. We currently FaceTime daily, and I drive to see her once a week with the kids. She hates that I don't have a normal job and says I should be working a 9-to-5 and should live closer. We have had several arguments in the past that have led to months of no contact.
Dang.
And this got significantly better once I had children, as my tolerance grew a lot.
She's like, once I realized that my mother was just a baby, everything was fine.
Silly baby, your annoying
Silly
relatives.
baby.
I say it once, I say it 1,000 times. Silly baby.
Silly baby.
I would ignore most of the things that would usually cause arguments after that. But we have had maybe 2 spells since my first son was born. It is always me that caves and goes back to contacting her. Now I've had my second son, he is 18 months, and she will not have my kids overnight. I know grandparents are under no obligation to, but it is hurtful that she doesn't want to.
What's crazy that she keeps saying, oh, if you were closer, I could help you so much. And then when you need her help, she's like, no.
They cannot stay the evening.
Why would you think I would help you?
My first son has stayed a handful of times. My kids are completely different. My oldest has GDD and will happily sit and watch TV or iPad or sit and do whatever he is obsessive about at the time. My youngest is an outside, in the dirt, climbing, looking at flowers, playing with bugs kind of boy. This brings us to yesterday. I'm driving up. I break down as I'm coming off the motorway at a busy junction. About 8 minutes from her house, I call my mom and ask her to call my brother-in-law, who lives on the next street over, to see if he'll pick the kids up. She says no, as it was 12:30 and he doesn't wake up until 1 p.m. He works nights. My husband calls my stepdad, who said he would let his boss know he had to come tow me off the motorway. Mom calls back to say he can't just leave his job. He would have to put tools away, etc., etc. At this point, a man had stopped and was helping me. He towed me to a safe street. I got the kids and bags and got an Uber to my mom's. I was stressed and the kids were restless. My youngest goes straight to the cat water bowl to play with the water. My mom hates this and picks it up. I then take a call from my stepdad and update him that I'm at my mom's, etc. Youngest gets into the cat litter.
What is going on?
My mom yells at me and says I rolled my eyes. I don't think I did, but maybe I could have.
You probably did.
He then starts to open and close kitchen doors.
Nice.
He has a...
It has thumbs, so it definitely isn't a cat.
How
Nice.
did he do that?
I just like that. Nice. Opening and closing the doors. Classic.
Good job.
Classic move. I like that. She has a bag of my eldest's toys. He is sitting and watching TV, but he isn't interested in them. My husband then arrives, so we go to try and get the truck moving and see if it's salvageable. We take our youngest, as he's already getting my mom stressed out. While out, I get him a new toy. He might play with that instead of things he shouldn't. When we get back, my mom is sat on the couch with my oldest. He's on his iPad. I don't let him have this at her house, as he only sees her once a week. It's for car rides. The youngest goes out to the garden, and she has a B-shaped gnome that he pulls an ear off of. Mom gets mad. He's touching the solar balls. Again, he's told no. Basically told no to everything.
Well, I mean, like, he shouldn't be touching those things, but, like...
Don't let him touch the solar balls.
But, like, I don't know. Is she even equipped to handle these kids?
Yeah, it just sounds like it's
like she's-
very obvious, like, oh, you're not equipped to
Yeah.
actually help me or the kids in any way.
Which sucks, and, like, she keeps offering when she's clearly not able to do it.
yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I definitely wouldn't leave my kids with these.
Even the oldest, it's like,
yeah.
you're letting him on the iPad. Not supposed to be on the iPad
Like,
at your place.
Not working.
I then say to my mom, I think until he's a little older, it might be best if she visits me.
Yeah.
She's maybe been down to my house 5 or 8 times in 4 years. The argument starts that he needs to be told no. She would have told me no if she took me to someone's house at this age. I explain that I think it's different as he's coming for such a long time, usually 6 hours, so he can see Auntie and Granddad too, as they all live in that town. I'm sure she meant if she took me somewhere for an hour or so. We both agreed her garden isn't child-friendly. If he wants to play in it, he can play with his ball. I said that's not possible to explain to a 1-year-old child.
Yeah.
Then she started to shout. I asked her to talk and not shout at me, which made her even angrier, and she told me I was pushing my luck, and I will not tell her what to do in her own home. I said if it's about her shouting at me in front of her kids, then I absolutely think I can tell her what to do in her own home. Argument got worse. Husband put the kids in his car, which had only 2 seats in the front, and the back is an open van space, so me and my 5-year-old had to sit on the floor for the hour-long drive.
Rough.
I did point out she had a car that they could have offered to lend me to get home safely, and that I did think my brother-in-law should have come to get the kids. Response was, it's not her car, it's my stepdad's, and that I expect everyone to drop everything for me. I told her that she is welcome to visit the kids at my house whenever she likes, but I won't be bringing them back until she agrees to not shout at me in front of them. She told me to get out and that she wouldn't be told what to do in her own home, and so she wouldn't be seeing us again.
Oi, oi, oi.
Sounds like she made a whole lot of
Lady.
decisions for herself there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
She
She said I'm gonna help you, and then you said, okay, let's do a little test drive, see how they fare at your house, and she went, get them out of my house.
Yes. And I'm also cutting myself off from you, and that's your fault.
Yeah, that's on her. She's made her, like, you were like, oh, I don't know if I should go no contact with my mom. It sounds like she's going no contact with you.
Yeah. My heart aches, as I have 2 friends who have recently lost their mothers. She's 65 and may not have long left, but the favoritism is clear between my kids. And
Not that old.
even
She's
me
fine
and my
tomorrow.
husband have the no shouting in front of the kids rule. So am I the a-hole for expecting my mom to respect that boundary in her home and to have her home a little more child-friendly for visits? Or is she right and I'm wrong to try to tell her what she should do? I don't know if it's relevant, but my role in the family has always been fixer, usually financially if someone got into debt, or paying for people to go on holiday. My stepdad once was wrongfully dismissed, or they attempted to, and I won him an ACAS case. I made sure everyone has what they need. By the way, I know exactly what you need, and it's full episodes with stories just like this that you can listen to on your favorite podcasting platform. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, I don't care where you're listening, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to over 70 days worth of stories. That's a lot. That's a lot. Grab a bucket and a mop. That's a lot.
Hey, that was good.
There's a little bit more story left.
Sure is.
Honestly,
I think that limiting or no contact, probably maybe limiting contact with your mom, it's just frustrating. You're trying to like have a relationship with your mom, and you've been trying to figure out for years what the most effective way to have that relationship is, and it seems like she's a really difficult person to get on with.
she's a nasty little lady. Your
She's a
mum.
nasty little lady.
She's just a nasty little lady, she is.
Yeah.
Let's finish this story. I am really aware that most of my examples are financial, and I don't know why that is. It makes me feel embarrassed to even write it. I think I know why it is. It's because they just use you for money, my guy.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
I wasn't really that aware of how strange it was until I got with my husband. I've taken my family on and paid for them to go on 7 vacations by the time I met him at 30.
Oh, wow.
Paid for 7 vacations?
7? That's too many.
6, 7?
7 vacations that I'm assuming you didn't go on.
It said paid
Ooh.
for, yeah. Didn't really
That's
say that I went
crazy.
on them. That's, yeah, you got unhealthy relationship here.
Ay, ay, ay. I've literally just loaned my sister money for vet bills last week. So I don't think it's unreasonable for me to ask for her husband to pick up the kids from an unsafe location for a 15-minute round trip. I absolutely have not fallen out with my sister or brother-in-law, or even had that conversation. He just said if she'd have rang, of course he'd have come. And there are some comments here. Comment number 1. OP, stop chasing your mom's affection and approval. You aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
That's a hard reality, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And truthfully, oh, wait, I just remembered the stuff from the beginning of the story where she's like, yeah, by the way, I don't actually even like you.
Yeah.
And also,
never-
I never
like,
wanted
OP
you.
is-
Your dad
yes.
loved you more than me.
OP has been chasing this affection from like the get-go, and it's never been a good relationship. And she said the only reason that it got better is because they moved apart, but even still, it's not that great.
Yeah, dog. You don't have to maintain a relationship with this
No.
nasty lady.
Nasty, nasty.
That is a hard reality, and I am sorry. And truthfully, do you really need it at this point in your life? Protect your younger son from your mom's favoritism and unrealistic expectations. She doesn't want to deal with his energy, and that's fine, but her approach is damaging to both of your boys. I'd take space from her for several months and see how you feel, and then reevaluate. You don't need to make anything permanent right now. Good luck. Comment 2, it doesn't sound like your mom much likes you nor your children. Let them go and focus on what is good in your life and makes you and your family, children and partner, happy. OP says, it was strange because my partner is probably one of the most confrontational people in the world. It's not a good thing. It's a problem he works on, and we do together, so it was really, really surprising for him to see someone speak to me that way and not say anything. He was super quiet on the way home, and I asked him if he was okay. He seemed shocked, and he literally just said he's never seen anyone look at someone with so much hatred and anger as when she was shouting at me, and it just shocked him. He didn't know what to do. He did the right thing getting the kids away, but I think you're right. She doesn't like me. She likes my oldest, but not my youngest, but don't think she likes any of us enough to back down to avoid never seeing them again, and that's what's so sad. But you can't change that, can you? I've been back and forth on what's best for the kids. Cut the cord now so they don't miss her or keep the relationship going with her for them. But every time we have a disagreement, then they have to deal with her being no contact with them. Yeah, I don't think it's
I
a
don't think
very
it's good for
positive relationship for anyone,
No.
including the kids.
I don't think it'd be good for them to have this very kind of flighty character in their life. That probably, if she told you that she never wanted you, what is she going to say to those kids?
Yeah, she clearly already doesn't like your youngest
Yeah. But
For-
like,
for-
what is she going to say to the
just
kids?
because he's a baby.
Just because he's a baby.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think for the kids, you got to be really, careful about that. Like, I don't know. I don't think that relationship would be healthy in the long run. Because it's not healthy now.
I refuse to tell my mother about my pregnancy because of my upbringing.
It's been a long time coming.
There is a trigger warning for emotional and verbal abuse, so keep note of that. I'm thinking of going no contact / low contact with my mother and not telling her about my pregnancy. Some background. My 38 female, big brother, Tom, 41 male, has always been the golden child. He was bullied in school, and our mother always pitied him, telling him and all of us that the world is so cruel to him. If any of us siblings said or did something to him, we were always in the wrong and so mean to poor Tom. Mia, 34 female, the youngest, was also kind of the favorite after Tom. She was always very fragile and cried easily. It always came down to us middle children being mean and stupid. By the way, this comes from user traditional set 9154. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And OP says, I always got the harsh words and was in the way no matter what I did. When I tried to talk to my mother, I always got shut down, often with very mean and hurtful things. I didn't realize this was wrong until I became an adult. As a child, I was angry, hurt, and felt unloved and misunderstood. Later in life, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That explained a lot of my feelings and trouble controlling my emotions when I was younger. My little sister M, 37 female, was struggling with an eating disorder, so we went to a family session with a psychologist. The psychologist told my mother that I was in bad shape and really needed help. Her answer was, I don't have time for her or her problems. Yo.
That's going to be a big old yikes from me, dog.
And what did the psychologist say after that? My mother recently told me herself she said those exact words back then. So she doubled down. My feelings and mental well-being were ignored.
Well, what was your mom involved in some sort of plot to save the world? Or, what did she do for work? Did she save the planet? That's the only reason I can think that would be appropriate for saying something like that.
Yeah, it looks like Mama's got a couple of her favorites and her unfavorites, that's for sure. And that's crazy. I was in an unhealthy relationship, and when I asked for my mother's help, she said, you choose to be with him. That's not my problem. Over the years, she said things like, I don't have time for you. I don't care. You shouldn't eat that. You're already fat. You're always in the way, and so on. Holy cow. Wow. Yes, I'm overweight and have a bad relationship with food now. I couldn't tell her she was hurting me. She'd always get defensive, and I was mean to her for calling out her bad behavior. She never talked to us when we did something wrong. All she did was yell and scream. When I got older, I couldn't take it anymore, and I wrote an email explaining why I needed to move on without her. With that, I lost my whole family because everyone thought I was insane and took her side without hearing me out. I had to go no contact for my own health and sanity. I was undiagnosed for bipolar disorder and couldn't express myself correctly and had anger issues. But I was a child/young adult and didn't understand myself or why I was like that. After 7 years, I had a lot of therapy and finally contacted my family again, and I apologized for my behavior, wanting a relationship with all of them. I was diagnosed and medicated, so I felt much better. I was ready to move on and let go of my old trauma. I didn't need an apology, but that was never suggested by my mother. I accepted that fact and that she wouldn't change who she is for me. I live in a city around 900 kilometers, or 560 miles, away from the rest of my family and can only visit 4 to 5 times a year. My father is an amazing father, caring and loving, but he always took mother's side, not even listening to anyone else's side of it. No matter how wrong she was, he stood by her side. Everything was okay. It felt better. But we all saw that nothing had changed with my mother. She's still toxic. The toxic behavior where Tom was always hurt. If anyone said a simple thing, like, he did something wrong, we were mean and evil. She never let anything go. When I talked about something with her, I was angry and hysterical, even if I'm talking calmly to her. I realized I will always be the angry, dangerous, mean child. No. At any point we disagreed, I was the one who was angry and insane, when in reality, she was the one screaming and couldn't talk in a normal tone. Me and my husband tried to get pregnant for over 12 years, and finally, we were getting a baby boy. Congrats. We were so happy, and my mother seemed happy about it. My other siblings all have their own children already. It was only me who seemingly couldn't get pregnant. However, now we have a wonderful and amazing son. Tom is not diagnosed, but we suspect he is a self-absorbed guy. According to a list of symptoms of self-absorbed people, he checks every point. He always goes around saying, I have such strong feelings. My gift to the world is my words. I am strong. I can do anything I set my mind to, and so on. He always prioritizes himself first, even before his own children. Because guess what? Mommy did that. Mommy allowed that because Tom was the baby. He doesn't say, look at my boy. He's so good with the soccer ball.
My boy.
My boy. Cue the music. Oh. He says, my talent for sports is my gift to my son. Or, I am giving my son the gift of music. It always is his gift, his talent. He got a tattoo that says, I can be wrong. What? What?
A lame tattoo. I could be wrong. I think you were wrong when you got the tattoo, buddy.
That's insane.
Is it a meta? That's a meta tattoo.
Where did he get it? On his lip? He got a tattoo that says, I can be wrong, but has never once actually apologized sincerely. Never. He takes zero responsibility, ever. Bars. The last straw was a short while ago. Tom is always late, whatever occasion. And I mean always, like Dakota.
That's not true.
The excuses are close to non-existent. He almost never calls or texts to tell he's late or why. This time, he wrote that he would be late because his son needed something from the store. I really hate when parents blame their children for being late. If you have children, you have to plan your life differently. My sister, who hosted the birthday party, wrote in the family chat, as usual, Tom. I told him that it wasn't okay to put the blame on his children. I said I wouldn't blame my son for being late. It's my responsibility to plan better. Maybe it was stupid to write, but I was fed up with the tardiness and the lame excuses. This didn't only set off Tom, it also got our mother to come to his defense 100%. He was so upset. So upset that he took his two sons, drove 40 minutes to the birthday party just to cry, scream, and complain that my sister and I are so mean to him. He did this with his confused two boys, 7 years old and 9 years old, scared and unsure what to do in the hallway, saying we are all against him, trying to hurt him, bully him. Then he immediately left and took his sons back the 40 minutes home. The whole family was there and couldn't get a word in. I wrote to him directly and explained myself. That I didn't in any shape or form mean he was a bad father, but it is disrespectful to always be late, and not to mention, blame your kids for being late.
There's no explanation even needed for this. You just call it, you say, I don't know what kind of stunt you think you just pulling up to like win an argument and then storm out, but like didn't have to be an argument. I was just upset that you're late. And like you had to have a actual like toddler tantrum meltdown about it in front of your children.
Don't worry, grandma comes to the rescue, but everyone else witnessed, whoa, Tom Hands.
Ugh.
I said I understood he got upset and said I was sorry for that. I explained that just like him, everyone else also has feelings that are just as valid as his feelings. I was trying to be as respectful as I could, but direct so he couldn't misunderstand. I said that the world doesn't crumble down because someone says something he doesn't like or calls him out on bad behavior.
He's like, not yet, but I'm working on that. I'm building a device that will implode the earth if anyone disagrees with me.
No answer from Tom. I tried to call him twice, with no answer. I then called our mother to ask for advice on how to move forward so we could resolve this. Bad place to go. I already see you. I already know where this is going. I asked how they were doing first, then asked if they were updated on everything. She immediately started to almost scream at me that she wouldn't get in the middle of this. I was surprised because I heard she had said at the birthday party that neither she nor Dad would get in the middle. I just tried to explain I just wanted some advice, but she kept defending him by saying I don't have a right to have an opinion because it doesn't affect me. I said, not this time maybe, but I am part of this family and it has affected me on other occasions. Either way, I'm still part of this family and have a right to have feelings and thoughts, just like Tom. She didn't listen at all. She just said I didn't have a right to say that in the family chat. I said I wrote to him directly and I didn't get an answer, hence why I called her. Then she said I shouldn't write it at all. I should have called if I wanted something. My answer, I did call. He didn't answer. I was assertive, but not angry. I said we don't need to talk about this at all. We could talk about something else if she didn't want to get in the middle. She didn't even hear me because she kept going on saying both me and my sister wrote so many mean things and were ganging up against him and bullying poor Tom. I kept trying to explain myself, but every time I was speaking, she was just quiet to let me talk. She wasn't listening, just waiting for me to be finished so she could say what she wanted to say. I politely said as calmly as I could, "That's very good. Thank you for staying out of this." I couldn't even take a single breath before she continued to talk in circles that Tom, her baby Tom, was so hurt.
Yeah, a 41-year-old baby. 41 years old. Never learned how to not be the center of attention.
I mean, again, Thomas, big old Thomas, was coddled.
Big old Thomas. Coddled Thomas.
I was so angry. I wanted to scream at her, but I was in public. So I said, "We clearly can't talk about this, so I won't anymore. Thank you for talking to me for a moment. Goodbye." And I hung up. My mother always twists everything to her advantage, and I mean always. She told everyone I was screaming at the first word I said when I called and didn't listen for a second. I was angry, hysterical, and crazy. I have been angry and I have screamed when I was younger, so I know the difference. I did not scream, not even once. My dad and niece were in the house when I talked to her mother. My niece, 18 female, said she heard a word here and there for our discussion, but not much. My mother said that our dad heard every word and that I was screaming to her. My dad takes our mother's side every time, but it started with him saying exactly like my niece. He heard a word here and there. The next day, he said he heard me being mean and mom was upset. The next day, I was so angry and poor mom was so sad. The next day again, he said I was screaming so he could hear every word and I was insane and uncontrollable. Holy cow. Again, your parents are insane. My guess would be that our mother slowly just convinced him to this story of how I was so mean and totally crazy over the phone. A week later, I wrote to Tom again, asked if he would own up to his mistakes and apologize, at least to my sister. I also asked, "You have a tattoo that says you can be wrong, but you won't admit that you have done something wrong." I apologized again if I hurt him and said I can't have a relationship with someone who never realizes they could do wrong.
He's going to respond and be like, "Well, first of all, the tattoo's clearly ironic because I'm never wrong about anything. And if you go understand that, I'm never apologize."
Yeah, Tommy Boy is just in Delulu land.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
not much,
He got a tattoo that I'm never wrong. That is, or I can be wrong. That's insane.
Ugh.
After a day and a half, he wrote, "You have to elaborate what you think I did wrong so I can understand." That was it for me. I was so fed up. I had written him a long message about what was wrong, and all he answered was, "What did you think I did wrong?" I just said if he couldn't understand that in the long messages I had already written, we don't have anything left to talk about. That's now 4 months ago. I don't have a close relationship with him, so I just dropped it. He's not worth it. He's not. It was harder for my sister, but she said around a couple of months ago, she gave up. She deleted him from social media, and I did the same. Since then, I have not been calling our parents and only wrote a short happy midsummer message. I am 100% of the time the one to call them and take all the initiative to meet up when I travel to our hometown. I was traveling with my husband and our 1.5-year-old son the whole 900 kilometers to meet my sisters and possibly our parents so they could see us. Just before we went on vacation, we found out I was 3 weeks pregnant. Congrats again.
Yeah.
I called Em right away. I was so happy and needed to tell my best friend immediately. We told my husband's family the day we left for my hometown, and they were so happy for us. When we arrived at Em's house, I was planning to maybe call our parents, but I waited to see if maybe they would reach out for once if they wanted to see us. They knew the exact day we were coming. When the evening had passed and we sat outside, I saw my sister seemed sad. I asked her, "What's wrong?" And she said she didn't want to tell me because she knew I would be hurt. I said I wanted to know anyway. She told me this. Just a couple of days before we arrived, our mother had visited Em and again just wanted to complain about us being so mean and disrespectful towards Tommy Boy.
Just get a new thing to talk about at least.
Yeah.
Boring.
She never once asked how Em and her family were doing, or any other side of the fight. She just listened to Tom's sad story and accepted that as the truth. M told her that she had pleaded with Tom and tried to forget the whole thing to start over, and he'd ignore her. She didn't hear a word of that and said that she was disappointed at us. Only us, of course, not Tommy. And then she said she thought I was out of control, mad and crazy. At this point, it's the same three things, and everyone knows, it seems like at least the reasonable people know, that that's not true.
Not true.
And that Mom didn't care what I did or said anymore because she doesn't really care about me at all. Oh, she said she didn't love me, and that if I was annoying and emotional, she could just block me and go no contact with me because I was such an inconvenience. Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm gonna listen to your advice then, I guess. I guess you're getting blocked.
Yeah, there's no point. That's not your mom. She never was your mom. She always treated you like someone who wasn't part of the family, and your dad is just a robot to her commands and demands. Ridiculous.
Like, you gotta understand, I can't disagree with her, because look at how difficult she is. You think I'm disagreeing with that? Ugh.
After M told me this, I was numb. I didn't cry or get angry. I just realized the truth. It all made sense. She doesn't care about me. She doesn't love me. My whole life made sense. I would never get the same mother as M, Mia, or Tom. She would never be the mother I was longing for. She couldn't even love me. Something inside me broke. Something was ruined. Forever. I thanked M for telling me. I said I wasn't really surprised. It was more like the last puzzle piece was placed. I then decided to postpone the pregnancy announcement. Why would I tell someone who doesn't care about me such happy news? The next day I broke down. I cried because I realized what I had lost. The relationship I thought we had. OP, that relationship was never really a good one. It sucks. The love I thought we shared. The hope that she would actually see me for who I am today and not the sad, confused, and emotional kid I was. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this one. Maybe happier ones.
Maybe even sadder ones.
Maybe even sadder ones. Just go to your favorite podcast app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and search OK Storytime. 72 days and counting of, again, happier or sadder stories like this one.
But who's counting? Us. We're counting.
So there's a little bit left. Dakota.
Yeah, it's a short-term ouchie, but a long-term victory. You know, it's like better to just be mourning that now than, like, I don't know. Imagine the damage she could do to your child. I don't want
You don't want your
that.
kids to go through. I mean, obviously she's a grandmother, but at this point, you don't want a toxic person in your children's lives. Not like this. There's zero support from her. It's whatever you say is just countered with you're crazy, you're yelling at me, you're insane, when you're not. No point. Stick close to the family members that you love and actually support you and care for you. Tom, your mom, your father, they're not worth it. And it sucks that you have to come to that reality and you've dealt with that for so long, but it's like ripping off the Band-Aid of, why prolong it any longer? Why put in the effort? Why have this Band-Aid stick on you for so long? You can live a happy life without them. But there's a little bit left, so let's go ahead and finish this story. Opie says, and the worst thing of all, I would not have a relationship with my father either. He would never take someone else's side or even listen to me. So I told my other sister Mia the news and didn't reach out to my parents. Mia and her 2 children were so happy for us. That's crazy. Her kids are genuinely happy. Oh, it's probably about the announcement. Not just
because the pregnancy.
Yeah, for the pregnancy. Like, oh, the kids are so happy that we're no longer talking to Grandma and Uncle Tom. But I told her and everyone else to not tell anyone. Everyone has respected this. Today, I'm 10 weeks pregnant and haven't gone public yet, and our parents still don't know. I didn't hear a single word from them when I visited home, and I'm not sure I want them in our lives anymore. At least not our mother. But with the decision to go no contact or low contact, I will not hear from our father either. She clearly doesn't even prioritize our son over her own hateful feelings for me. So why would I let our son be around that? So now, would I be the a-hole if I'd go no contact or low contact with her and my father? Does anyone have any advice? Thank you if you read all of this. Thank you, OP. You
you're doing the right thing. You said it yourself best right there. You don't need these toxic people in your life. It
Yeah.
sucks that your dad's a part of it because you said he was a great father.
Yeah, I
But-
would just ask him straight up, be like, why is it that you can never go against
I
her?
would genuinely call him out like as like a low contact thing. Like, do you have no thoughts or processing? Like, you are her little robot.
Yeah,
You literally, whatever she says, you just say, you're right.
you just co-sign all of her behaviors.
Do you not have your own opinion, Dad? But at that point, it seems like he's so far gone into it that what's that going to do?
Yeah, he'll probably just be like, I mean, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, it at this point, just live a happy life with your husband, with your kids, with your sisters who actually respect and care for you. That's all. You don't
Yeah.
need to worry about Tom because that's wasted energy. You don't need to worry about your parents. If they reach out, great. But at this point, why do it?
Yep.
That is the end of that story. So, if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you,
And
and
we'll
see you tomorrow.